In the blink of an eye, half a month has passed. The basic skills of the three little ones are very poor, and Chen Chen needs to be trained. Without systematic exercise, although they have exercised themselves, relying on their own ideas to figure out, in fact, the effect is not great. Systematic exercise, able to exercise in all aspects, speed, strength, and endurance. Willpower is accumulated little by little during normal exercise. After every limit breakthrough, your willpower will go up to a higher level. In the face of death, willpower will be sublimated, and the three little ones have been tortured terribly. In half a month, their load doubled, carrying rocks and moving with difficulty, not because they didn't want to go fast, but because they couldn't. Luffy has made great progress, gradually catching up with the big brothers. In terms of willpower, Luffy is the strongest, followed by Sabo, and finally Ace. Pure people don't have so many ideas, they only want to improve themselves, and they have different attitudes towards difficulties. Luffy, on the other hand, insisted on using his fist to knock him into the air. No matter what, he was knocked into the air. A reckless man, there is nothing else in his mind to pretend, he can only pretend to fight tenaciously. Sabo and Ace have flexible minds, so they think about many problems, so they naturally have to consider problems from all aspects. Knowing that they couldn't do anything, they chose to retreat temporarily instead of being reckless. Knowledge courses are also carried out, and the three of them cannot be illiterate, the minimum knowledge must be known. According to their knowledge mastery situation, take turns education. Luffy's knowledge courses are too difficult, and he perfectly inherited his grandfather's genes, which is different from his father Dorag, which is inherited from generation to generation. Stupidity is inherited, so is the brain. He doesn't like to study, so Chen Chen insists on forcing him to study. On the contrary, Ace and Sabo don't need him to say too much, learn by themselves. It is much better to learn knowledge that is useful to oneself and to study crazily than to study blindly by oneself. Go, boy. Running against the sun, the three of them practiced consciously, and in the past half a month, the results have been full. Their bodies have been upgraded to a new level, and their strength has been enhanced a lot. The strength has doubled. After training, they can have a little time to rest and do their own things. As for my great-grandfather, he seldom beat them up, and mostly let them handle it by themselves. Training is training, rest is rest, never mind them. The three of them didn't dare to move. No, when we reached the top of the mountain, we had time to rest. There is not much practice in the morning, a run is enough. With the increase in strength, it doesn't take much time to run a trip. If you go fast, you can increase the rest time by more than 10 minutes. No matter how fast, you can squeeze out half an hour, plus the rest time you already have, it adds up to a lot. As for cooking, 3 people take turns and each cooks a meal. This has become their tacit understanding, and today, it's Ace's turn to cook. Obviously, Luffy isn't going to help. He's going down the mountain to take a look around the town. Not for anything else, just because he saw the ship approaching, and he seemed to be a remarkable person. Sabo and Ace went to work and didn't notice Luffy's movement. The two like to exercise and practice with peace of mind. With the extra time, practice if you can. Chen Chen watched Luffy run down the hill, very fast, and knew how to hide his actions. Little guy, he came to the town soon, it seems that he usually comes here a lot. Luffy, who was familiar with the road, found the tavern, and Chen Chen followed behind. Little guy, what is this for? There are people coming from the town, so it should be. Looking from a distance, Chen Chen saw the flag. Ships, very familiar. When he came to the tavern again, he didn't go in, but stood outside, watching the commotion inside the tavern. Luffy sat in the tavern and took out his treasured money. Ordered a glass of wine and wanted to try it. The boss recognized Luffy, made fun of Luffy, and told him not to drink. Instead of serving drinks, he was provided with meat. Luffy is not satisfied, he wants to drink, no matter what he says, the boss doesn't agree. Luffy looked at the drink beside him, a man in a straw hat with a glass of wine in front of him. Luffy snatched it up, wanting to drink. Being held down by a man, he was not given a drink. What happened next is unknown. Chen Chen stood at the door. Seeing that there was no danger inside, he didn't go in. Not far from the door, I found a place to sit down, took out a drink, and drank alone. People who come and go, there are pirates, they don't know Chen Chen. Thought it was an old man enjoying the scenery alone. Beside Chen Chen, there is a man smoking. The face is long, the bridge of the nose is strong, and the lines of the face are clear. A bunch of hair hangs down on the face, and the hair on the back is tied up. there is a rifle hanging on the waist. Leaning against the wall, smoking, in an ecstasy posture, I am so dissatisfied. One person drinks, one person smokes, two people do not interfere with each other. The man smoking seemed to have spotted Chen Chen, and he handed over a cigarette. Grandpa, do you smoke? Chen Chen raised his hand, rejecting his kindness. Ben Beckman, the deputy captain of the Red Hair Pirates, is also a man with a superior IQ. I like to smoke, and I like to pretend to be handsome. No, do you want to drink? Young man. Anyone, in Chen Qingtian's place, is a young man. Age can eat everything. Beckman was not polite, took the flagon and took a sip. Good wine. Satisfied. The drinks are different from those outside, Chen Qingtian's collection of good wine. Ordinary people can't drink it. Ha ha. Drink wine. It's very lively outside. Inside, it was even more lively. There seemed to be a big commotion, and there was a lot of noise inside. Then, a child flew out and hit the opposite wall. Slipping off, the soft little body is like rubber. Then, Luffy was lifted up, his body was limp. A group of people surrounded Luffy, their eyes were strange, especially the man in front, wearing a straw hat, with 3 scratches in his eyes. Luffy, did you eat that devil fruit? There is no more devil fruit in the box. Eaten, Luffy, tempted, they despair. That one devil fruit was stolen. Luffy, the little brother I just met, was too fast and ate it. Shanks couldn't laugh or cry. That fruit can't be eaten, Luffy. Luffy barked his teeth and claws, wanting to settle accounts with them. Why did he beat himself up, when they said, he seemed to have eaten something terrible? Immediately scared, he swayed from side to side, at a loss. Luffy. Luffy, don't eat indiscriminately. Luffy, you can eat that fruit. Boss, forget it, eat whatever you want. If devil fruit is eaten, it cannot be retrieved unless Luffy dies. They couldn't kill Luffy for devil fruit, after thinking about it, that's the only way. Shanks knelt down and stroked Luffy's head. It's okay, just eat it. Perhaps, it is fate. He looked at Luffy, and Luffy looked the other way. Grandpa. Chen Qingtian raised his forehead, and didn't want to respond to Luffy. This bastard, he did something wrong, so he knew he was looking for his old man. Waving, smiling, Luffy shouted enthusiastically. Chen Qingtian's position was exposed, and Chen Qingtian, who didn't want to appear at first, turned around, not wanting to see his precious great-grandson. Why didn't I look for my great-grandpa before I started the matter? When something happened, I knew I was afraid, so I remembered that there was a great-grandfather. Chen Qingtian was very puzzled. Luffy's ability to make things happen was really strong, so he let him leave for a while, and immediately made big things happen. But these were expected by Chen Qingtian, and his turning around was not expected by Luffy. Luffy, terrified and feeling his body change, is, at the moment, worried. He waved again and shouted loudly, Grandpa, it's me, Luffy, I'm here. Don't even think about leaving, Grandpa, I need your help. Chen Qingtian turned his back to them, not wanting to turn around to look at Shanks. Shanks heard this, looked over, his brows were tightly frowned. A familiar aura appeared in front of his eyes, and the figure opposite him was very familiar. He touched the sword and stepped forward. Luffy, he didn't care about it either, the brothers behind followed him one after another. The boss seems to want to do big things, unlike being bullied inside, the boss doesn't care about those people. But the boss looks like he is very nervous. Shanks, what are you going to do? Luffy was shocked. Shanks is not looking for trouble with Grandpa, is he? He hurried over, stopped between Shanks and Great-Grandpa, and spread his hands. Shanks. What do you want? That's my Great-Grandpa, you can't do anything to my Great-Grandpa. Shanks realized he had misunderstood himself, crouched down, and stroked Luffy's head. Luffy, haha, don't worry, I'm not here to make trouble. He smiled and explained that he came to find his great-grandfather. It's like someone I know, the kind I haven't seen for a long time. After searching for a long time, I didn't expect to meet a familiar figure here. It's exactly the same, even after so many years, it's still familiar. That smell, that back view, and that feeling are 90% sure to be him. Come on. Luffy, get out of the way, I'll have a good chat with your great-grandpa. Luffy doubted. Shanks, do you know my great-grandfather? Should know him. Shanks pointed to Chen Qingtian and said, I want to confirm. When the brothers behind heard this sentence, they all stopped. Acquaintance. Impossible, right? How could there be an acquaintance of the boss in this kind of place? Beckman blinked, looking at the old man curiously. Did he know Shanks? Chen Chen blinked and spread his hands, probably not recognizing him. Beckman asked. Shanks, do you know the old man? Shanks wondered how it had something to do with Beckman. Beckman said a little bit. The two of them were friends for a moment. After drinking, we can still be regarded as half friends. Beckman, you tell him to turn around, I need to make sure. Shanks held back his excited hand, and in his heart, he was sure again. The old man is the one I know. The more he doesn't want to turn around, the more it explains the problem. Beckman smoked and said, Old man, turn around and let our captain take a good look. Don't worry, if Shanks troubles you, I will help you. Chen Chen picked his nose. Hey, something is wrong with you, one or two want me to turn around. Sure enough, being handsome is not a good thing. Wherever you go, you will be recognized. Can't hide it, just turn around obediently. Wave and smile. Hi, Shanks boy, long time no see. Shanks steps back. It's him, our little old hero. The trembling body kept retreating, and took another step back, being supported by the brothers. Pointing at Chen Chen, he muttered. How is it possible? How could it be him? It's unbelievable that the old man is staying in this place. And he is leading a happy life with his great-grandson Luffy. How will you be here? Chen Chen touched his head. Why can't I be here, Shanks boy, long time no see, do you miss me very much, haha. The old man who was drinking looked up to the sky and laughed. Beckman behind the back frowned. It's over, it seems that he really knows each other. However, why does Shanks kid look scared? Is the old man scary? Make the boss look scared. The others were also shocked. Shanks, who was not afraid of heaven and earth, was actually scared. Unlike him, if they hadn't come here together, they would have thought Shanks in front of him was a fake. Luffy looked at Grandpa and Shanks curiously. They actually knew each other and had a good relationship. Shanks stood firm. He wasn't the old man. Why should he be afraid of the old man? His own strength has become stronger. After so many years, he wanted to find the old man, but now he found it, but... Master, you... Oh, here, this is the old man's home. Chen Chen said truthfully. The old man has to return to his roots when he is old. Returning to the roots of fallen leaves is everyone's dream. Chen Chen is no exception. He is old and doesn't want to go out for a while. In this sentence, it is okay to deceive other people, but it is impossible to deceive Shanks. Old man, you are not old at all. Nothing has changed since the last time we met. Look at you, you are still so tough, your breath is restrained, you can't tell if you are strong or not. Because of this, it is the scariest. The higher the strength, the more Shanks can know the horror of this kind of person. Back to basics, the old man's strength has reached a terrifying level. Old, not as good as you young men, Shanks, these are your mates. Shanks nodded, pointed to the brothers behind him and said, Grandpa, these are my partners, how about it? It's okay, it's all good. The two met and chatted for a while. It's not suitable for chatting here. After all, Shanks and the others are pirates, and they are easy to be found. A group of people came outside. On the deserted beach, Shanks walked with the old man, and Luffy followed behind. The brothers prepare the banquet, and one or two are busy preparing food and drink. Beckman followed behind, curious about the relationship between the old man and Shanks. To hold a banquet, Chen Chen had to bring down the two people above, and couldn't enjoy the food by himself. Shanks, wait a moment, I'm going to pick up the two little guys. It is good. Luffy, stay here. Old man, blink and disappear. Beckman was shocked when he saw the back of the old man disappearing. There is no feeling, the blink is gone, as if it never existed. Shanks, this? Beckman, are you shocked? The old man's strength is terrifying, right? It's scary. Back in the day, he was the one who taught me swordplay, Shanks recalls. There were two other people, and one of them was Bullet, whom you knew. Beckman has been shocked for a whole year, and these are not the most shocking. Next, Shanks' words left him speechless. Boss Roger is also the disciple of the old man. You know why I get scared after seeing the old man, right? Beckman was short of breath and his face was flushed. Shanks, you are not lying to me, are you? Why would I lie to you about this kind of thing? I won't talk nonsense about this kind of thing. Don't forget my identity. For a moment, Beckman believed it. The boss Shanks is the crew of Captain Roger of One Piece, even if he is an intern, but his identity is unquestionable. Naturally, what he said could not be false. About a quarter of an hour later, Chen Chen came back with the two little ones. Holding one in each hand, the speed was too fast, and the hairstyles of both of them were messed up. The two fell to the ground, couldn't stand upright, and almost vomited. The speed is too fast for them to bear, and they are a little scared when they see strangers around them. Ace gave Sabo a look. They seem to be pirates. Sabo. It's pirates, look at their ships. Ace. Oh my god, is Grandpa a pirate? Sabo. Probably not. Ace. Hey, that guy Luffy looks very familiar with them. Sabo. I'll go, it's really that kid Luffy, don't worry about it, he must have caused trouble. Why are you standing there, come down, don't you want to eat barbecue, go and eat. Ace and Sabo were very nervous, standing behind the grandfather, they were not like Luffy, who could let go. Luffy and Shanks sat together, and the relationship between the two instantly rose to the friendship of a year-end friendship. Drink, eat meat, and smile loudly. Luffy, integrated into their pirate group. Shanks looked at Luffy like he was back then. Others also like Luffy. They welcome the arrival of Ace and Sabo, but they are not as enthusiastic as Luffy. Ace and Sabo were sent by Chen Chen to be with Luffy, arguing with them. It's a rare banquet, but they can't let them eat vegetables on the mountain. Sitting next to Shanks and drinking, Chen Chen couldn't help but smile when he looked at the happy Luffy three. Back then, the three of you were the same, ah ha ha. On them, I saw the three figures of Shanks back then. It seems to coincide, Luffy is like a replica of Shanks. Yeah, Kid Luffy is a lot like me back then. Shanks sighed. It would have been great if I could have been studying with the old man back then. There is envy, although they will be beaten, but now they often fight. If you can't fight, you will be killed. In a cruel world, without strength, you will always be suppressed. I gradually realized how lucky I was to have someone who devoted himself to educating himself and imparting skills to them. Observation hockey and armament hockey in Conqueror's hockey have a great effect on them, including now, and these two abilities are also his most commonly used. After going out, I realized that hockey is very rare and not everyone can learn it. It doesn't matter, without a teacher, it is very difficult for you to comprehend by yourself. You can now too, Shanks. Rubbing his hands, Chen Chen laughed and said, anyway, taking 3 is also taking, and taking all of you is also taking. Shanks. Beckman. Other people. If you don't pay attention, disaster will strike. Beckman shook his head at Shanks, he didn't want to be beaten. Ever since I heard what Shanks said, how powerful the old man was back then. He was the teacher of One Piece Roger, and also his half-teacher. He was a powerful old man. The old man likes to train disobedient people the most, such as them. The more disobedient they are, the more individualized they are, the more peaceful they can be. Look at Bullet, he's arrogant enough, he doesn't dare to say a word here with the old man. The old man back then could have a 50-50 split with Whitebeard. Whitebeard Newgate, the strongest man in the world, this sentence alone is shocking enough. This series of achievements made Beckman not want to offend the old man, let alone be trained by the old man, he would die. No need, we are very busy. Shanks refused, thank you for the kindness of the old man, you should train the 3 of them well. Watching the 3 little ones, Shanks stared at Ace. On Ace, he also saw a familiar figure, like someone. There is a little similarity, but it's not sure. In the world, there are very few similar people, so there must be a relationship. Grandpa. What's the name of that little boy? Shanks pointed to Ace and asked. Chen Chen knew that she saw Ace, and would definitely ask herself. Few people know Ace's identity. Shanks would find out later, so why not tell him now? However, he didn't want too many people to know. His name is Ace. Ace? Yes, that's right, it's called Ace. Shanks frowned. What's your full name? Potter Cass D. Ace. A surname that is rarely seen, but he has a D, and he is also the heir to the will of D. Shanks muttered a few words, always feeling something wrong. Grandpa, isn't it Ace? Glancing at the others, there were not many people around, except Beckman. Only then did Shanks dare to ask. He also knew that there were some things, some identities, that needed attention. Chen Chen whispered a name in Shanks' ear. He also has another name, Gore Ace. What? Shanks jumped up, staring at Chen Chen in horror. That last name is very unique. In the whole world, there is only one person with this surname. That legend, his former captain, the only hero in his heart. Gore Ace, Gore Roger, obviously, they have some kind of connection. Could it be? That's right, Shanks, it's exactly what you think. Don't talk nonsense about this matter, no one knows about it. Chen Chen said lightly. He still knows what Shanks is, and there are some things that he won't talk nonsense about. Beckerman thought about it for a while, but he didn't think of it in a short time, but with his IQ, he should have a clue soon. Grandpa, let me calm down. Shanks couldn't keep his cool, the news was too shocking. The captain has descendants who survive, and he dies, but his will is inherited. It's not that he's alone. He may not know this news if he hasn't seen the old man. The old man and the others hid it too deeply. Ace is so big that no one knows anything. If it spreads out, it will definitely alarm the sea. After calming down for a while, he came back and sat beside the old man. Take a deep breath. Any news can't compare to this. It's too shocking. If he knew earlier, he might. After thinking about it, the captain had his concerns, and it was safest to leave it to the old man to watch over him. He didn't believe anyone else. Thank you, old man. Speaking of which, what is the identity of the old man, have you forgotten? Shanks nodded. He knew, but with a baby, it was difficult. Now there are three. One is Luffy, one is Ace, and one is unknown. The three little guys are all happy. There are many things that the three of them don't know, and it's for their own good not to let them know. This matter, you know what I know. Shanks obeyed the old man's order and never spread it. The news was too appalling to be revealed. Once exposed, Ace's situation is very dangerous. First believe Marine knows and will do everything in his power to catch him. The banquet went on and on. An hour passed, and the formal banquet began. Drinking, eating meat, everyone danced happily, they sang, happy to celebrate today's meeting. Each of them likes this kind of life, saying they are pirates, but in fact, what they do is not what pirates do. Everyone looks like pirates, but in fact, what they do is not the behavior of pirates. Chen Chen looked at the three little ones in the center of the banquet. Luffy was the one who could let go the most, he was so friendly and happy with everyone. Carefree, he is sincerely devoted to happiness. Dancing with them, drinking with them, and eating meat with them, he was happy, and he was not affected by the day's events at all. If you can play, you will definitely not go to find your grandfather. Ace and Sabo are a little more reserved, and they sit together, grilling and eating meat. It's been a long time since I ate so happily. Today, no matter what, I have to eat enough. It's a rare day. Grandpa gave them time to rest, how could they not know how to cherish it? As for the identities of Shanks and others, it is not within the scope of Ace's consideration. After getting acquainted with them a little bit, they will do their own things. Ace didn't understand why Shanks looked at him strangely, as if looking at an old friend. Obviously he didn't know him. Weird guy, weird eyes. Very nice. They're all right now, sir. Shanks likes the three little ones from the bottom of his heart. This kind of life is difficult to have when he grows up. When I was a child, I was carefree, only eating, drinking and having fun in my mind, and the hard training, at this moment, I forgot. They left everything behind and only had the banquet in their eyes. They didn't have to be like this before, they didn't have to think about anything, and they didn't have to worry about it. There are many things that they don't need to think about, and the big brother above will take care of them. Now that he has become the boss, he realizes that it is not easy to be a boss. Every move and every order may put the fleet in danger. The new world is far more dangerous than the East Blue. Once in danger, it will be beyond redemption. Each of them chose to be with themselves and give their lives to themselves because they believed in themselves. Once upon a time, I also had such happiness. Drink wine. Shanks sighed. Chen Chen squinted, looked at them, then at Shanks' teammates. Their faces are full of happiness, everyone is so happy. Joining Red Hair Pirates is the most correct decision they made, follow the boss and have meat to eat. A man with a very ordinary appearance, at first glance, he is just a trash fish. He walked over to Shanks and sat down, drinking with Shanks. The left and right protectors arrived, Beckman on the left and Usopp on the right. The two looked at the old man curiously. They were very curious about the old man's strength and wanted to find out. Beckman knew the identity of the old man, and Usopp was shocked after listening a little bit. The two of them wanted to come over and try it out. By the way, let the old man teach him some skills. As the saying goes, an old family is like a treasure. We met. How can we let the old man go? Beckman toasted. Old man, I offer you a toast. Usopp followed. I'll toast you too, old man. The two drink first as a respect, whether you drink or not, we drink first. Chen Chen glanced at the two of them lightly, understanding their thoughts. Shanks complained. Hey, what are you two doing? Beckman smiled and said, Shanks, you don't mind us, we do, he. Don't get in the way, we can figure it out ourselves. Usopp and Beckman pushed Shanks away, and they drank with the old man. After a few drinks, Beckman opened the topic. Grandpa, did Shanks practice with you for a while? Yeah. What's the matter? Drinking and answering softly, Chen Chen looked at the two of them, and from their faces, he could see that the fire of 8 trigrams was blazing. They want to know the past of the captain. What is it like? Every crew member likes to inquire about his captain's past embarrassment. Not for anything else, just to be able to taunt the captain one day. Can you tell us about our captain's performance back then? We want to know, please, sir. 2 people, flanking left and right. The attitude is sincere and the posture is low. Shanks' face darkened, trying to pull the two of them away, so they wouldn't ask. Are those things you can inquire about? Go back to drink, some things, you better not know. After being severely rejected by the two, they replied with a sentence, don't you want us to become stronger? Shanks had no choice but to wait for the two to ask. It's nothing to show, anyway, that's how it is, the worst trouble. Shanks was very cautious back then. He calculated others and benefited himself. Be careful you two, Shanks is not as stupid as he appears on the surface, he is a smart bunch. After a little talk about what happened back then, Beckman and Usopp were taken aback for a while. Unexpectedly, the captain of the year had grown a brain. To deceive people is practiced since childhood. As for you, you have to be careful. When the time comes, don't be sold, and you have to count the money for others. Beckman nodded seriously. Tisk tisk, it's scary. Usopp asked. Old man, did you beat our captain a lot back then? This question made everyone stunned. Hey, brother, the question you asked is very problematic. Ahem. Let's put it this way, a small dozen a day, a big dozen every 3 days. Hit, there must be. It's a lot of fights, everyone needs to fight. If you don't fight, they won't be obedient. Usopp turned around and asked Shanks. Shanks, really? You were really educated? Shanks didn't want to answer, his face darkened. You don't need to know those things, Usopp. Angry, the man is angry. Usopp and Beckman's eyes lit up. You are angry, which means that you have touched your sore point. Captain, don't worry, we will continue to ask. Old man, how did you educate our captain back then, can you tell us seriously? Be serious, pay attention to the wording, be serious, and details cannot be omitted. Tell us all that needs to be said. Chen Chen didn't care how Shanks begged himself, he still had to say what should be said. What happened back then was not an embarrassment, at most it was just being beaten up by the old man. A little bit more, howling Shanks, how miserable it was back then. It's a pity, I forgot to take pictures back then, otherwise, I can show you the pictures. Shanks. F*K, you are so cruel, old man. Beckman regretted. Oh, what a pity. Usopp lamented. Hey, it would be great if we took pictures, we can pay our respects to the boss's demeanor. A group of scammers who always want to cheat themselves, Shanks understands that they are not good people. There are always people who want to harm me. This is what Shanks thinks at the moment. The two of them came here to please the old man with malicious intentions. On the surface they came to drink and chat, but in fact, they came to dig the inside story. If you want to find out what happened to you back then, the more first-hand information you have, the more you can represent your status. In the future, when they meet newcomers, they will tell about the great deeds of the boss, believing that the reputation of the boss will surely be deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Thinking of this, Shanks couldn't bear it, and had to stop them from continuing to inquire. Okay, Beckman, Usopp, aren't you going to be busy? A lot of things need you, don't stay here, okay? Beckman asked back. What can I do, Captain? Hold on, Shanks. Usopp could have drawn his gun at any moment, pointed at the boss, and told him not to move. 2 Shinso hands will send you back to your hometown in minutes. Shanks is speechless. My good brother, you are disobeying my orders. Captain, it's banquet time now, we don't need the two of us to do it. Usopp said again. We want to ask the old man for advice, so don't worry about it. Was disgusted. It's obvious how high Shanks' status is. Old man, can you teach us a skill? Beckman is enthusiastic about pouring wine and serving attentively. In order to learn good things, he lowered his body. Captain Shanks was educated by the boss, and so was One Piece Roger, and there are more identities that they don't know. The old man's son is Garp. Shanks didn't release the news. Otherwise, they will be shocked for a year. Chen Chen glanced at them and said, this old man is not a Shinso player, so he doesn't know how to play with guns. Beckman shook his head and said, it's okay, old man. I heard that your observation haki is very strong, okay? For their Shinso hands, observation haki is essential. Shinso hands with observation haki and Shinso hands without observation haki are two levels. It is impossible to confuse them, and observation haki is graded. Advanced observation haki is scary, they haven't touched that level yet. I want to get a little information from the old man, even a little bit. Usopp said eagerly, old man, please. How about lowering your posture in order to become stronger? The identity of the old man is too strong, there is nothing shameful in asking elders for advice. We captains are all educated by the old man, we as crew members, it's nothing if we ask for advice. Ahem, you want to learn observation haki? The two nodded. Chen Chen said again, study now? Beckman excitedly said, can you? The sooner the better, to avoid surprises. The earlier they learn, the sooner they can master it. Usopp took Chen Chen hand and thanked again. Thank you, old man. The old man let go, explaining that he wanted to teach them good things. Now, hurry up. A space was vacated, and the two stood up, waiting for the old man to impart their skills. Other people, who were arranged to eat and drink aside, can watch it if they want. The old man has no objection, how much you can learn is your own. Others, holding the meat and drinking wine, stood by and watched, and their attitude towards learning was very serious. Ace and Sabo also watched carefully, they didn't expect the old man to teach them skills. Those people are very strong. Luffy ran to Shanks excitedly, and asked Shanks curiously, Shanks, what are the grandfathers doing? Shanks said, your great-grandfather is teaching. Professor? What is it? Luffy looked confused, so he wanted to ask. Shanks patted his head, without explanation. Just look at it, and you will know it naturally. The first is Beckman. His strength is good. For the first time, Chen Chen hooked him and let him attack. His marksmanship was good, and he could predict Chen Chen movements every time. However, after firing more than a dozen shots in a row, none of them hit. When the bullets came in front of the old man, he could always avoid them with a miraculous gesture. Once so, twice. Dozens of times, all the same. Beckman didn't believe it, and fired another shot. This time, he continued to predict Chen Chen movements. Empty, no doubt. Beckman frowned, staring at Chen Chen movements, his observation haki seemed to have no effect. The old man smiled and waved to himself, go on. Beckman fired a dozen more shots, to no avail. Long-range attacks are not good, but melee combat, I want to test the strength of the old man in my heart. After approaching, he suddenly realized that he was going to be tragic. The next second, he was beaten. Without any reason, without any sign, he was beaten. With one punch, he flies out. He couldn't bear a simple punch. Hiss. The people watching the play gasped. They were shocked by the fact that the deputy captain was blown away with one punch, just one punch, no more, no less. An old man beat up the vice captain, fighting head-on, not a sneak attack. So scary. Usopp stood by the side without attacking, he touched his small body, forget it, stop hitting. Still watch Beckman, I still learn from the sidelines. Beckman stood up. He twisted his head. His body was in pain. He suffered from a punch and 2 ribs were broken. The huge force kept him in pain, which could not be relieved. The old man's fist is too terrifying. Again, Beckman. Beckman catches a glimpse, he's almost there. Just a little bit. Charge, fly out. Fly out again. Beaten. Constantly getting beaten. Fly out. After flying about a dozen times, he collapsed on the ground, dazed. He didn't want to rush anymore, he caught that aura. Ha ha ha. The laughter was wanton, found it. He finally found it, and the opportunity came, and he found it when he said he found it. It was not in vain that he was beaten several times. His laughter frightened the others. They thought Boss Beckman was crazy, so he hurried up to offer condolences, but the result was that there was no problem. Usopp knew Boss Beckman had found his inspiration, and he couldn't fall behind. She cupped her hands and signaled to the old man that he was about to go. As a result, like Beckman, he was beaten to the ground. Flying out again and again, finally, he lay down next to Beckman. Same laugh. The two looked at each other and laughed again. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The two were crazy. Shanks knew they had found it, and the confusion that had entangled them was, now, unraveled. Although being beaten is an embarrassing thing, but after being beaten, you can get promoted, why not do it? These two people, really? Then, he asked the old man, "Old man, are you okay? What's so good? The interest I just mentioned is gone. The two of them can't resist, they haven't warmed up yet, they fell down." Shanks. Beckman. Usopp. Night. Entering the night is the real way to open the banquet. Darkness enveloped the shore, and the waves slapped the shore. No one appreciated the rising waves, and they bloomed beautifully alone. Beside the bonfire, the shadows kept turning, holding hands and dancing together. Singing original songs, praying to each other, for the sea. Pirates, with the simplest ideas, live a good life. They are like island people, not like pirates. Luffy fits in perfectly and gets along with everyone. He was pampered and cared for by them, like a member of their team. Ace and Sabo came to Grandpa's side, not envious of Luffy. The two looked at the great-grandfather curiously. The strength of the great-grandfather is really strong. The actions of Beckman and Usopp today, they saw a shadow, but in front of their grandfather, they looked so weak. They are always the ones who get beaten, and my great-grandfather is unscathed. No matter how much you say, it's better to witness with your own eyes. The strength of great-grandfather once again shocked the two of them. Ace widened his eyes and asked, "Grandpa, can you teach me that trick? It doesn't matter whether you can fight or not, the main thing is that you are handsome. Stand still. No matter how you attack, I will not be afraid. It will fly you with one punch, no other skills are needed. It's really handsome. Now that I think about it, I think it's also handsome." Alone, being attacked by Sabo and Luffy, beating them up again and again, that scene, whenever Ace thinks of it, he thinks it is cool. Sabo thinks the same way, handsome, it's over. "Grandpa, I want to learn too." The two began to introvert, and while you, Luffy, were eating and drinking, we secretly studied. Involution starts now. Chen Chen held his forehead. The two little guys knew how to introvert at a young age. It was agreed to eat and drink together, and happily attend the banquet. Unexpectedly, you fooled Luffy and came to study by yourself. It's very similar to those high school bullies who went to school together. They were studying secretly behind their backs, but on the surface they pretended not to like studying, and took you to play, but when the test results came out, they were the first, and you, is the countdown. Involve, roll up, own people, kill each other. Okay. I'll teach you tomorrow. Okay. Ace said anxiously. Can't it be tonight? Grandpa, we want to study now. Tomorrow, Luffy is on the scene, and he will definitely learn as well. If you don't, you won't be able to achieve your own goals. Sabo urged. Old man, teach now, we will learn soon. It is good to learn first. Walking ahead, you can mock Luffy infinitely. There is a price to pay for playing. Chen Chen didn't know what to say about the two of them, but they were really involved, and the one who was involved was still dancing and happily eating barbecue. Shanks looked at Ace and Sabo, and thought of himself back then, why not? Involve, crazily involve. In order to be the boss, they don't know how much they have paid for each other. With emotion, Ace and Sabo are people with brains. Such people, how should I put it, can go very far, is it possible? That boy Luffy, do you really like to eat meat? The banquet is held and Luffy has been eating meat. After eating devil fruit, he can eat meat freely, even if he has a big stomach, he still wants to eat it. The digestion ability is strong, and it is not afraid of death to eat meat. But he didn't notice that he was involved inwardly. Maybe, the heart of a child would be better. With the improvement of strength, introversion is the first, and there is also talent. Ace and Sabo, both of them, they roll inwards, they're King dead. It depends on when Luffy wakes up, but he's still young. Study now. Not good. Chen Chen didn't know what they were thinking. The two brats were indeed brats. It's okay to study now, come on, you want to run before you learn to crawl. Bring it on. Hook. The two attacked together. Tragedy happened, and they were blown away. The two of them flew away like cannonballs, flying more than 10 meters away. Falling to the ground, the two of them were facing each other. Miserable. It was only then that Luffy noticed the situation here, and saw the big brothers paralyzed. With a punch, he rushed up to trouble the old man. Grandpa. Why did you beat Ace and Sabo? I want to help them avenge, you can't hit people with your hands. We're having a party and you're beating people, isn't that too much? Everyone else knows it, they don't see it. For Luffy's behavior, there is nothing but a smile. Silly boy. You come here to speak for them when they are trying to get you inside. Victims do not yet know they are victims. Beckman whispered to Usopp, Luffy is so stupid. Usopp exclaimed. Yeah, so stupid. A fool who doesn't know anything and rushes up to make trouble. A true warrior, but his brain is not very clear. Chen Chen was about to speak, when Ace and Sabo came back and taught Luffy a lesson. After that, Luffy continued to eat meat and stopped paying attention to this side. I don't know what the two said to Luffy, rolled in, and continued to start. Shanks and the others supported their foreheads, such a naive Luffy, they dismissed them with a few words. Compared to the enthusiastic Luffy, Ace and Sabo, they are crazy introverted. The two flew out several times, with little effect. The foundation is not enough, and it's useless to roll in. They are so young, it's obvious that they came here to be beaten. The old man can't help it. They asked for it themselves. If I don't fight, they think I won't teach. Chen Chen couldn't help it. They asked for it, and he couldn't do anything about it. I can only promise them, in this way, their mood will be better. An involution operation lasted until midnight. Everyone fell asleep, and the banquet continued. Chen Chen was old and found a place to lie down. Close your eyes and it's the next day. Speechless all night. The next day, Chen Chen heard the cry and opened his eyes. Saw the movement in the sea. Luffy was hugged by Shanks. Blood dyed the sea red. And in the sea, there is a huge sea kings chasing the two of them. Seem to kill them. Look at the blood again, flowing from Shanks' arm. The left hand was bitten off. One-handed Shanks, gritting his teeth, swam back with Luffy in his arms. And the king of the near sea continued to hunt and kill. Never die. One arm, can't make it satisfy. Humph. Chen Chen got angry, and made trouble for the old man while the old man was sleeping. The king of the offshore, right? The old man got angry, and the consequences would be very serious. Vacant. As if the air burst, he stood in the sky, staring down at the king of the near sea. With a huge body and a ferocious appearance, it seems that he is not afraid of Chen Chen. Xuanwu coercion. With a roar, a huge Xuanwu phantom appeared in the air, suppressing the king of the sea below. Chen Chen clenched his fist, accumulating strength, and stored it for a while. Punch. Fist, burst of strength. The accumulated power explodes at this moment. Boom. The sea explode. Like a mushroom cloud, blood stained the sky red. The huge body of the king of the sea suddenly turned into minced meat. The two Shanks were sent back to the shore by Chen Chen. The churning waves turned red in the blink of an eye. The giant offshore king, one punch, gone. The sea is dyed red. The smell of blood attracted a large number of fish, and its death did not cause other sea kings to riot. Shanks shielded his arm, the blood was flowing. The strength of the king of the offshore is invincible in the sea, at least the strength of the red hair. In the sea, the king of the offshore can fight the red hair 50-50. It's an exaggeration, mainly because Luffy was in the way by his side, which prevented the redhead from displaying his strength. The king of the sea keeps harassing Luffy to distract the redhead, and eats the redhead's left hand. Chen Chen made the move without any scruples. He sent the two of them back to the shore with one thought. The suppressed king of the offshore, unable to move. With one punch, it was bombed into minced meat. Shanks, your hand? Luffy cries like a weeping man, touching Shanks' left hand. The blood kept flowing. That hand is gone. It's because I'm gone, Luffy, crying so hard. I am not playful, and Shanks will not lose his arm to save himself. What does a hand represent to a swordsman? Luffy knew exactly how much damage the loss of a hand would do to the redhead. Shanks, I'm sorry. Sorry, Shanks. I'm sorry. If it wasn't for me, your hand wouldn't be gone. Apologize. Guilty. Shanks lost an arm because of himself. How to repay such a great kindness? Others rushed to the scene, stopped Shanks from bleeding, and was stopped by Shanks. Shanks knelt down, took off the straw hat, and put it on Luffy's head, covering his weeping face. Luffy, it's okay. Don't cry, it's just a hand, it's nothing. The more Shanks said that, the more Luffy cried. Looking at the missing left hand, Luffy couldn't help it. Crying loudly, he was very guilty, he didn't want to. Shanks, me. Luffy, don't think so much. Luffy, don't cry. A man can't cry. Luffy held back tears, wanted to cry but didn't dare to cry. Gentle Shanks, constantly comforting Luffy. The crew came up to stop Shanks bleeding, worried. A captain without a hand is not good for the future. It was too late for Beckman and others to help. The king of the sea was too fast for Shanks to react. The old man was a step slower, otherwise, the king of the sea would not be so arrogant. The king of the offshore was smashed into minced meat by the old man's punch, and it got what he deserved. The old man is back, holding Shanks' bitten-off arm. Difficult to find from minced meat of the king of the sea, Chen Chen attacks are violent, and he can control every ounce of strength. Without harming the internal organs, the moment you see the arm, there is no need for other places to exist. With the arm back, it has not yet entered the stomach. Shanks' arm. Shanks looked at the old man in surprise, he thought his arm was gone. Unexpectedly, the old man came back. The old man, who was soaked in blood, was so warm at this moment. Thank you, old man. Speaking of which, hurry up, the ship doctor, hurry up and pick it up. The ship's doctor will come right away. The configuration of red hair pirates is available, and the ship's doctor is a must. The medical skills are also good, and it's easy to find the arm. I can't find it, sorry. Shanks was taken away, taken to a sterile room, where the arm was attached. If it is disconnected, just connect it. It is still early, so it is no problem to connect it now. It is a little troublesome to repair later, and the power is not as easy to use as before. But enough. According to their physical resilience, within a few months, they will be as good as ever. Luffy, anxious to follow, stood at the door, waiting. Hold the straw hat and wait. Others are also waiting outside. Beckman took it easy and found his arm. Shanks' hand was saved. The ship doctor's skills are very good, and they trust him very much. The arm was not damaged, and when it was connected, it was another hero. What shocked Beckman was the strength of the old man. Under the explosion, he could still save his arm and find it. It's so awesome, the old man's control is so awesome. Destruction is easy, anyone can do it, but while destroying, one arm can be preserved. You don't know where the arm is. At that time, no one thought that the old man would find the arm. The king of the near sea died when he died, and was killed by a punch. Thinking of that fist, Beckman touched his small body. The body as big as the king of the sea is gone. Myself, Gulu. If the old man used a little force last night, wouldn't I be myself? Old man, how did you exercise your control? Is it hard? Beckman was loaded, his eyes widening. He who is calm, at this moment, cannot be calm. Isn't it difficult? Chen Chen said. You can control it casually, anyone can do it. Beckman. Usopp. I know I'm not coming, and I heard things that shouldn't be heard. It's scary. The old man is the old man, it's too scary. At that moment, the aura of the old man suppressed the audience, and no one could fight. The king of the offshore was suppressed, so why not them? The angry old man suppressed them indiscriminately. The coercion made them unable to breathe. The king of the near sea was killed, and they escaped from that oppression. It was horrible. Okay, at that moment, I felt like I was going to die. The strength of the old man is too terrifying. Especially the phantom, they seemed to see a fierce beast. In front of that fierce beast, they had no power to resist. What is that? Everyone in the room was thinking, what is that fierce beast? The fleeting phantom of the fierce beast, and the terrifying old man, is the strength displayed at that moment his own full power? Many questions remain unresolved. Grandpa, how is the boss? It hasn't come out yet, just wait. They don't know the outcome of the surgery. However, there should be no problem. Usopp asked weakly, old man, can you teach me about your punch? Too strong, he is a Shinso hand and needs melee strength too. One punch is enough, and he can't learn from others. Beckman asked eagerly, can I learn, sir? Two people stared at themselves. You can learn it, but it's very difficult. According to your talent and strength, I don't think it's suitable. Why don't you study your hockey well? Hockey is the mainstream, the eternal mainstream, whether it is observation hockey or armament hockey, if you control it to an extreme, your strength will become very strong. Physical arts, you also have to practice, you can't become a weak chicken. Chen Chen patiently explained to them that physical skills are essential. No matter what you are, physical skills are very important. You can guarantee that your marksmanship will still work after being approached. Hearing this, the two opened up the pattern. Yes, what if some people don't play their cards according to the routine, wouldn't it? They majored in marksmanship and minored in gymnastics. Some old Yinbi thought they couldn't fight. After getting close, they gave them a second. Thinking of that scene, the two couldn't help but get excited. Grandpa, please teach me. Two people want to learn very much. 3 days later. On the beach. The two fell down, out of breath, with various signs of abuse on their bodies and faces. Beckman and Usopp were powerless to speak, quietly staring at the sky, gazing at the sunshine that belonged to them. A few clouds float over the blue sky, adding a third of color. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. The cultivation of physical skills seems simple, but in fact, it is very difficult. It is more difficult than imagined, and it cannot be cultivated overnight. It takes time to settle. You remember the feelings of these days. From now on, you have to practice every day, and you can't be lazy. Physical arts are the accumulation of years and years. It is impossible to reach the sky in one step. Nothing can be achieved overnight. What you can achieve in the future depends on how you treat physical skills. There is only so much I can teach. The three little ones are also exercising, running around the beach. Running here is more difficult than running in the mountains. It is difficult to walk on the beach. The sand is heavy on the body. If you take a step, you will sink deeply. Everyone has their own thing to do. Shanks, after surgery. His arm was temporarily connected, tied with a bandage, and hung around his neck. He can't move around for a short period of time. According to his recovery ability, it is estimated that he will be able to move soon. The recovery of the left hand requires self-exercise, often doing some simple movements to recover, step by step. Chen Chen went to visit Shanks. He was in good spirits, sitting on a chair, enjoying the good life. Letting the warm spring breeze blow on his face, he noticed the old man's arrival and smiled faintly. "Do you feel it?" "Yes, you can move now, old man, look." He had sensation in his fingers and the operation was a success. No matter how big the action is, he can't do it. Chen Chen said worriedly. "Be careful, you have to pay attention, don't move around, take your time. The arm has only been attached for a while, so don't mess around. Recover step by step. You have to follow the doctor's advice and don't mess around. It may take a month or two to recover. According to your physical fitness, you can recover soon. Don't force yourself. Don't get infected. The most fearful thing is inflammation. During this time, you don't need to do anything." Shanks is a restless master. He was afraid that Shanks could not bear it, so he ran to fight. "Tell me again and again, don't be careless. Your own arm is related to the future." Shanks laughed out loud. "I don't know if I heard it." Arm recovery issues, with the doctor watching, the rest of the red hair pirates watching him. They are more nervous than Shanks. After all, it's about their survival. The fighting power of Shanks represents their fighting power. "When are we leaving?" "Today." "Where are you going?" "Want to visit the town of Rog." Shanks came to East Blue. How could he not go to the town of Rog, where the captain started and died? On that day, he witnessed the captain leaving with a smile, and from that moment on, the era of great pirates began. Shanks wanted to go back and see, feel again. "By the way, I went to pay my respects to the captain. I haven't seen you for a long time, and I miss you very much." "Huh? You're going to Rog Town? Is there a problem?" Shanks asked in surprise. Chen Chen shook his head and said, "No, if you go to Rog Town, you may meet that little fellow Buggy." "Huh?" Shanks asked in surprise. "Buggy is in Rog Town?" "I don't know. He didn't leave back then. I don't know if he has left now. I don't think so. This guy probably wants to find Roger's treasure in Rog Town, haha." Buggy, who is obsessed with finding treasure, may really stay in one place for a long time for the treasure. Shanks was speechless. It's possible, he didn't really think there was a treasure, did he? Chen Chen said with a smile. "It's not like you don't know Buggy. As long as it's a treasure, no matter if it's true or not, he will believe it. Moreover, if he can find it, are you angry?" Buggy is obsessed with treasure. Over the years, I don't know how many treasures have been found. Maybe the town of Rog has been turned over by him. Shanks nodded. "Haha, that's true. If that fellow Buggy is in Rog Town, he probably wouldn't want to see me, haha." Buggy, haven't seen each other for many years. He should not see himself. Shanks misses the days when he was with Buggy, how happy he was. Carefree, free, don't have to think too much, just think about playing and digging treasures every day. Who knows? Yes. Shanks sighed, who knew? Maybe after all these years, Buggy has changed. No one can guarantee that in these years, if a person does not make changes, even if it is himself, he has changed. It's noon. At lunchtime, the Shanks announced that they were leaving. Luffy, watching Shanks reluctantly. The two had a chance to be alone, and Chen Chen didn't bother him. What agreement they have, is their own business. I only saw Luffy who came back, crying, with red eyes, wearing a straw hat from Shanks on top of his head. Luffy also has his own dream, to become the One Piece. Contrary to Garp's idea, Marine can't become a pirate, so he chooses to become a pirate. Family inheritance is like this, no one is willing to accept the glory of their parents. Luffy, I'm waiting for you in New World. Shanks, I will definitely become One Piece. After waving goodbye to the two, Luffy rushed out, shouting his dream. Tell Shanks that he will definitely become One Piece and will definitely go to him. They agreed that when he became the One Piece, he would return the straw hat to Shanks. That day is the day when the inheritance ends. The ship is getting farther and farther away. Slowly disappearing from view, Shanks is gone. Luffy, standing where he was, kept watching. Ace and Sabo have gone to work out and practice every minute. Can't stop, can't fall behind. Introversion has always been there, but Luffy doesn't know it. Chen Chen was speechless. At such a young age, he knew how to introvert. How big is the heart of the two of you? Luffy, workout, Shanks is gone. When are you going to see? Luffy, unimpressed. Just standing there, watching, as if unable to hear Chen Chen words. If you want to become the One Piece, you need continuous practice and hard work. Every minute you waste now will delay the time for you to meet. Ace and Sabo have been exercising for a long time, and you are still standing there. Luffy, take a good look at them too. Chen Chen didn't want to remind him, helplessly, Luffy has a big heart. Look at nothing and immerse yourself in your own world. You have to understand that your brothers will not be friendly to you. They will infiltrate you, make you let your guard down, and easily surpass you. Luffy looked back. Sure enough, Ace and Sabo were already exercising. I am feeling sad. Damn it, wait for me. Another 3 days passed. Time flies by, blink of an eye, for a cultivator, time is a long time. The three of them kept running, carrying stones, and bathed in the sun. Their figures stretched very long, and they looked so youthful under the sun. The young boy looks forward to the future and works hard for the future. With a dream child, everyone wants to be their dream self. For their inner structure, Chen Chen is shaping it every day. A strong heart is a must. A strong man must have a strong heart. Those who are not strong enough cannot become truly strong. Every strong person has experienced many inhuman tortures before becoming a strong person. They have all proved that the inner strength is the strength. They can cope with any difficulties and disasters they encounter, instead of escaping from them. Chen Chen folded his arms and looked at the three of them, neither needing him to stare nor needing him to look at them. The three of them are very self-conscious, and they will not be lazy when they are rolled up. I can't wait for them to get up and exercise when others are resting. It is a step ahead to be one step ahead. It is completely different from Garp and others back then. Sengoku and Xiaohei have no desires and desires, so they will not engage in those things. Easy is easy and boring. Luffy, after eating devil fruit, his physical fitness has been enhanced a lot, and he has the characteristics of rubber. Can't run fast, rubber fruit helps, stretches out his hand, restrains the big tree, pulls hard, and he comes to the front. The danger he was worried about before could not cause him any danger. Rubber, not afraid of falling, not afraid of beating, not afraid of anything. His body, like rubber, is very elastic. No one knew that this fruit turned out to be in the form of Nika in the end, which was unexpected. Luffy, the ability of devil fruit can't be used indiscriminately. Just a reminder, run hard and don't think about taking shortcuts. Luffy, he doesn't care what the old man says, he can do whatever he wants. The attacks of Ace and Sabo cannot cause pain to him. Fighting desperately, he is not afraid of ordinary beatings, only the sword. Cutting can cause him damage. After a short 3-day experiment, Luffy has a preliminary control over his devil fruit. Rubber rubber. If you don't use it for me, I will still use it. Anyway, if you hit me, I won't hurt. The unscrupulous Luffy is very arrogant. Ace and Sabo were stunned. Let me go, Luffy, you have a big heart. Did you forget that your grandfather punched the king of the sea? Such a big offshore king, one punch is gone. Can your small body bear it? Ace carefully reminded. Luffy, don't make trouble. Sabo cared. Luffy, it's not good to hurt the fish in the pond. I don't want to be beaten, big brother. You have devil fruit, we don't. If Grandpa gets angry and fights together, wouldn't we be finished? Luffy pouted. I don't care, Ace, Sabo, who made you two target me? For me, there is a price to pay. Involvement, right? I'll make trouble for you to see if you dare to involute me. The two smiled wryly. Unexpectedly, Luffy saw it, and indeed they were intriguing you. If you are not behind, how can you show that the big brothers are very strong? No. Where is it? Who said that? Luffy, don't believe the slander. We are your big brother, how could we target you? That's right, Luffy, don't you trust the big brothers? It's too late for the big brothers to love you, so why would they target you? Ace and Sabo firmly denied that they did not do it, so why say they targeted him? Nothing. Why do you say that? The two were filled with righteous indignation, which made Luffy puzzled. Is it really not? Ace replied, no, Sabo. How is it possible? The two of them deal with Luffy first, then talk about the others. Luffy believed in the words of the two of them, but he still wanted to do something. He who should do things, always do things. Otherwise, his heart couldn't hold back. No, just after finishing speaking, Luffy started to do something. Rubber rubber. Extend your arms and continue to pull forward. After catching up, his speed is not slow. Stumbling, those are small things. Chen Chen was speechless. Little Luffy, you are challenging your great-grandfather's limit. Luffy, are you deaf to your grandfather's words? Luffy was taken aback by the sudden appearance of his grandpa, and he said angrily, Grandpa, do you know that people are scary and can scare people to death? Don't be like this next time. I forgive you, you can go. Ace. Sabo. F*KU, a real warrior. No, we have to take a step first to keep a distance, so as not to be cleaned up by Grandpa. Luffy, still not afraid of death. I am a rubber man, not afraid of beating. However, the next second, he was stunned. Boom. What? It hurts. Fist down, Luffy, feeling the pain. It hurts to the bone marrow. Eat or not eat devil fruit, the pain remains the same. He was dumbfounded. He had clearly tried it. Why did it fail? What's the situation? With a small head, I can't understand the current situation. Why Ace and Sabo beat me, but I don't feel pain. But when the great-grandfather beat himself, it was very painful. Bang bang bang. After several punches in a row, Luffy screamed. It hurts. Stop hitting, Grandpa, I was wrong. Woo, Grandpa, I'm sorry. Grandpa. Luffy, who wailed, finally, was left with an apology. He was beaten badly. Ace and Sabo covered their eyes. They couldn't bear to watch that scene, it was too miserable. Inhuman. Grandpa's hands were more ruthless than Grandpa's. Look at that movement, that posture, that fist, exactly the same as Grandpa. Sure enough, they are father and son in the same line. You are too ruthless. Embarrassed, Ace said. I can't provoke my grandpa in the future. I will do whatever my grandpa tells me to do. I can't keep looking for death like Luffy. Sabo shook his head. Heaven committed evil, you can still live. Self-inflicted evil, you can't live. Luffy asked for it and has no one to blame. Ace stepped back 10 meters, but he still felt that it was not safe enough, so he stepped back. The two kept a long distance, watching Luffy, not letting Luffy spread the flames of war to them. We are your big brother, there is no reason to help you bear the beating. Ace, help me. Sabo, save me. The pain made Luffy howl, and it was useless to plead. Grandpa moved his hands, pulled, ejected, and ejected once where it should be ejected. Somewhere in particular, stretched, let go. Rubber fruit is really easy to use. Had so much fun, Luffy, numb. He was bound and hung from a tree, and then, great-grandpa pulled at that point, pulling hard. Let go. Luffy, catapulted to heaven. That gesture, that movement, the shame of Chiguogwo. Not very harmful, very insulting. Up and down, it's all small things. Luffy was completely numb. After falling down, with the blessing of rubber fruit, nothing will happen when he falls down. Grandpa stopped talking to him and let himself fall down. Then, continue to ascend to heaven. Every time he ascended to heaven, he felt as if he was going to die. I didn't want to go up, but my great-grandfather didn't give him a chance to speak. He moved as fast as lightning, caught him, hung him on the tree immediately, and then ejected. The movements are exactly the same, that posture, that point. How much damage he has suffered, no one will know. No one can know Luffy's pain. Luffy in the sky let out a scream, which stretched on and on. Chen Chen turned his head and grinned, which frightened Ace and Sabo who were watching the show. The two hurried to practice, not daring to watch anymore. In case the great-grandfather has a cramp, wouldn't he have to do something to himself? Forget it, just be careful. The two left, their eyes still looking up. Luffy is miserable. It's really miserable. Sabo looked over and said, only Luffy has the qualifications to go to heaven. We are too bad. Ace agrees very much with Sabo's words. Luffy is the bravest one among them, bar none. Can you imagine provoking Grandpa again and again? Whoever it is, would do it. Luffy has no brains, he is so stupid, what a fool. I found it myself, crying and kneeling, and I have to bear it. The two realized again that the great-grandfather is not so easy to provoke, so don't try to provoke the great-grandfather's patience. Grandpa is more terrifying than Grandpa. Sabo nodded thoughtfully. It's indeed more terrifying. Grandpa is just doing it, but great-grandpa will continue to torture you in different ways. If you don't break down, he won't let go. It's terrible. The two of them didn't dare to continue talking, for fear of being overheard by their grandfather. These elderly people have very good hearing. When you talk about important things, they are deaf. When it comes to the 8 trigrams, or bad things about them, they promise to listen more seriously than anyone else. Luffy landed. Lie on the ground, still in shock. Why is he always the one who is injured? He wants to walk, get up, and run quickly. His speed is no match for Chen Chen. In the blink of an eye, he was caught up. Luffy, crying and begging. Grandpa, I was wrong. Let me go this time, okay? Please, great-grandpa. Don't torture me anymore. I really know I was wrong. Can you please let me go? Implore. No matter how tough your temper is, it's useless in front of Grandpa. Teach you. Grind your edges and corners, let you know who is the boss. What did you say? Luffy, Grandpa has bad ears, so he can't hear you. Grandpa pretending to be deaf, Luffy frowned, not daring to show impatience. Smiling, he raised his voice and said, Grandpa, I was wrong. Apologize loudly. In order to survive, I had to do this. Luffy, too. He doesn't want to go to heaven anymore. Chen Chen looked at him with a smile, those eyes made Luffy panic. He stepped back and put his hands on his chest. Be wary of Grandpa, mine, on the verge of collapse. Grandpa, don't mess around, I. Without helpers, the 2 big brothers had already run away, so they would not care about him. It takes a little time to be able to introvert a little bit, and introvert a little every day, and the effect will be good after a long time. Damn 2 big brothers, they abandoned me. No one saves me, no one replaces me. Luffy, how miserable. What are you doing? Luffy, are you going to beat up Grandpa? Being completely speechless by Chen Chen rhetorical question, how could it be possible to beat up Grandpa? Don't dare, can't fight, and don't dare to fight. Going up rashly, isn't it courting death? You can't make mistakes yourself. No, Grandpa, you can't wrong me, I never thought of that. Scared Luffy to death. If Grandpa thought so, wouldn't I? It's over. No, I can't talk anymore. Too many mistakes. You mean Grandpa is unreasonable? Luffy. Dumbfounded. Damn it, Grandpa, how could you understand like this? You are so stupid. Can you speak well, understand well, and don't misinterpret what I mean? I didn't mean that. How come you don't understand me? Grandpa, you'd better kill me. I don't want to talk anymore, I'm very tired. Unreasonable Grandpa, you can't communicate with him. 2 people are not from the same world. Sorry, I was wrong, you kill me. Luffy, who gave up resistance, thought that his great-grandfather would not do anything, but unexpectedly, his great-grandfather did. Tie him up and let him take a deep breath. Luffy wanted to ask what to do, but was frightened by his grandfather's eyes, so he hurriedly did it, took a deep breath, and his body gradually swelled. Not yet, keep breathing. Luffy didn't understand, so he could only listen to the order, and soon, his body was like a ball. Okay. Stay like this, Luffy, don't move. Close his outlet and don't let him down. Yeah, that's it, fine, Luffy, well done. Get another rope and bind Luffy. Take off, Luffy balloon. Expansive, self-rising Luffy. Blow in the wind. Chen Chen took the very long rope and tied it to the big tree next to him. Let Luffy float on it, and the hot sun keeps shining. Poor Luffy couldn't even cry out. Hold on, Luffy, it'll be down soon. Persist for another hour, and after an hour, Grandpa will let you down. During this period, don't move around. If you get discouraged once, then add another hour. These words cut off all of Luffy's illusions. He wanted to be discouraged, and immediately kept it. The body just floats like this. It was so miserable, he wanted to cry. I can't cry. He saw Ace and Sabo, they came back, whining as if they saw a backer. The sound caught the attention of Ace and Sabo, and the 2 looked up, suddenly, startled. F*K. F*K. What the hell, my god. What's the situation? Luffy, how did you become a balloon? The 2 had a lot of questions, and they didn't listen to inquiries. Wanting to ask for an answer, Luffy's appearance is too miserable, worse than the sky. Now he is God. Gulu. Ace and Sabo looked at each other, asking if they should ask. Grandpa looks at us. Sabo, how about us? The two made eye contact, and in an instant, they communicated a lot. Do you want to mind your own business, just in case? Would not it be? The two, after deep thinking, acted as if they couldn't see it. Luffy, I'm sorry. The big brothers can't help you, you have to bear it yourself. The two had an idea and left without looking back. Can't afford to provoke, can afford to hide, gone. That's it. Woo 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 woo. Luffy, shouting frantically, failed to wake up the two people who were pretending to be asleep. An hour passed. Luffy, I'm about to collapse. Grandpa said an hour, it was really an hour, no more, no less. Get stuck before letting yourself down, Luffy, numb. I talked too much, thinking that I was invincible, so I asked my grandpa to provoke him, but it turned out. He couldn't bear it, it was too tragic. The ruthless big brothers abandoned themselves and left without looking back, without any intention of saving themselves. They are too unfeeling, too ruthless, too indifferent. I am their younger brother. How could they refuse to save me? They agreed to be brothers, and in the end, you and I became superficial brothers. Ace, Sabo, you wait for me. You big brothers are unkind, don't blame me for being unrighteous. It's a long time ahead, we'll see. Putting down the harsh words, Luffy thought about mocking them in the future. He made a mistake and was punished. It will soon come to them, and there will be no escape. Luffy, are you feeling better? Hearing this, Luffy was shocked. No, I have to lie down for a while, Grandpa. The voice should be as gentle as it needs to be, and I dare not offend my grandfather. Hitting people with fists is really painful. I don't know what the grandfather's fists are made of. With the blessing of my own rubber fruit, it is obviously not painful to be beaten. He landed and tried it, but he didn't feel it. But he didn't dare to try Grandpa's fist. Do you want Grandpa to help you up? No, no, Grandpa, I'll get up by myself. Luffy got up quickly, he charged forward, not daring to stay. Grandpa's words are vivid in my memory, he doesn't need devil fruit ability. At least not in front of Grandpa, other time, as he likes. On the other side, Ace and Sabo couldn't see Luffy's figure, and he came down. I was tortured terribly, and I was still in that state after being exposed to the sun for so long. If it were another person, it would probably be dead. So Luffy can take it. Sabo, how is Luffy? Sabo got down from the tree and said with a smile, he was put down. Let's see if he dares to provoke Grandpa next time. Grandpa became angry, more terrifying than Grandpa. I think Luffy hangs on it for at least an hour, a whole hour, it's terrible, okay? Ace agreed. Hey, that boy Luffy's vitality is different from what we know. Before eating devil fruit, Luffy's vitality is very strong. It may be a genetic problem, Shao Qiang from immune to death. Get up no matter how many times you fall. It may be that his mind is pure, but God gave him another ability. What is gained is bound to be lost, God is fair. Close a door for you, and open a window for you. We have to leave quickly, Ace, wait for Grandpa to catch up, maybe he will attack us. Ace nodded. Let's go, Sabo, don't let Luffy catch up. After the two determined their goals, they hurried to exercise. They don't seem to care about Luffy, but in fact, they care about him in every move. After seeing that Luffy was fine, they quickly went into exercise mode. All this, Luffy does not know. He just wants to catch up with the big brothers and get revenge on them. Half an hour passed. Luffy hasn't caught up with the big brothers yet. It seems that he keeps a distance from the big brothers. Never meet, or they avoid themselves. If others avoid you, you should never get close. Ace, where are you? Shouted. No response. Luffy continued to shout. Sabo, I'm here, come out please. Still no response, the big brothers seem to be missing. Luffy, rubbing his little head, was thinking about how to find the big brothers. He found a good idea and tugged on the branch. The arms get longer, very long, very long. Let go, people, and catapult into the air. Looking forward, he found it. Right ahead, the big brothers are right ahead, very close. Found you. Luffy kept quiet, this time, he will quietly catch up. Once the big brothers find out their whereabouts, they will find a way to avoid themselves. Looking at the back, the great-grandfather was not far away, waving at him. The relaxed great-grandpa, holding a drink in one hand, drank while walking. Luffy, trembling with fright. Landing, he hurried forward. He was afraid that his grandfather would cause trouble for him. Damn it, why does my great-grandfather follow me all the time? The lingering great-grandfather kept following him. Instead of troubling the big brothers, trouble me instead. No. I can't let Grandpa catch me. Big brothers, here I come. Your dear brother has come, coming to you with surprises. Ace and Sabo heard the movement and looked back. The two were frightened immediately, and only saw one person, who flew over quickly. Luffy, using the branch as a fulcrum, pulled and ejected with force. Accelerating forward, hitting or something, he can avoid it freely. Like Spider-Man flying around. With a small body, he can come and go freely in the forest. It may be related to children. The control over the body and learning ability have been greatly improved. Luffy, screaming. Ha ha ha, Ace, Sabo, I'm after you. Ability cannot be given or not. In order to catch up with their 2 sixth sons, Luffy is desperate. Luffy, haha, you came so fast. Ace rubbed his hands together. We've been waiting for you for a long time, and you're only here now. The two put on a look that we have been waiting for you for a long time, and your big brothers love you. Did not abandon you, waiting for your arrival, not moved. Luffy could see clearly that they were the most cruel ones. At this moment, I still want to fool myself. Ace, Sabo, don't try to trick me. I know it all, you two big brothers, you are really good. Sabo waved his hand and said, no, how dare I lie to you, Luffy, don't you trust big brothers? Come on, put on a big brother attitude, we are your big brother, don't you doubt us? Luffy is speechless, and you still get up. Ace glanced behind him, but couldn't find the old man's back. He asked weakly, where's the great-grandfather? Luffy blinked and looked behind him. Luffy who can't lie, he can't talk. Otherwise his expression will betray him. Silence is the best answer? Sabo asked worriedly, is it behind us? Luffy, don't answer. Guess what? I'm leaving anyway. I can't stay any longer. If I continue to stay, I will be exposed. Grandpa is right behind and will be here soon. Ace, Sabo, I want to make it easier. Go to the grass next to you. Wait for me. Luffy is in a hurry to pee, so it's convenient to go. The mouth pouted. That way, it looks like I'm lying. Ace and Sabo hold Luffy. They won't let Luffy go. Little one, don't you know what expression you will have when you tell a lie? You're too young to act in front of us, Luffy. Tell me what you want, Luffy. We're watching you, don't try to lie. I don't think about why. Ace, Sabo, let me go, please. Luffy pouted and looked like I had a problem. A discerning person could see the problem at a glance. Ace gently stroked Luffy's head, and asked with a smile, Luffy, do you want to trick the big brothers with bad ideas? Luffy seemed to have been read through his mind. Flustered, his head was moving wildly, and he didn't dare to look directly at the two big brothers. He won't say it. Yes, he just wants to cheat them. Take a step first, let them be caught by the grandfather, and then, he. The plan didn't work out, and it didn't fail. Luffy was stuck here, and Luffy was anxious. Grandpa was behind and would come up at any time. It seems that he has reached a tacit understanding with himself. He didn't catch up immediately, and deliberately gave him time to ask Ace and Sabo. It depends on whether he understands or not. Luffy understood in seconds. He was afraid of being tortured, and someone else would torture him. As for his great-grandfather, he didn't care who was being tortured. If you fall behind, you will be beaten. This is what my grandfather said. Whoever falls behind will be beaten. Luffy wants to abandon Ace and Sabo. It's impossible not to think about it. Ace, I'm really in a hurry. I can't do it. I'm going to pee my pants. Luffy struggled, rolled, and shielded himself from below. Although his acting skills are poor, he can still deceive two people. Ace and Sabo were dubious. Let go of Luffy, and let him pee next to him. Don't peek. Look at me, I can't pull it out. Luffy walked and talked. His voice increased to compensate for the weakening caused by the distance. Ace and Sabo, who were facing away from him, didn't find the problem at first, but later, the voice was wrong. The two turned around. Where Luffy was peeing, he was running fast. Ace and Sabo looked at each other, not knowing why. Why did Luffy run? What is he afraid of? I don't know. Ace, should we catch up? Ace hesitated. Sabo took a step first, and he said, I'll go after him, Ace. Sabo is gone. Ace has not realized the seriousness of the problem. Watching the two walk away, he was still thinking where he was. The shoulder was slapped. Ace turned his head, his pupils widened and his body tensed. He took a deep breath. A mouthful of phlegm stuck in his throat, unable to spit it out. The facial features condensed, and the smile squeezed out. An ugly smile, even uglier than Luffy's. Grandpa. Ace wanted to leave, but his body was held down and he couldn't move. At this moment, he resented Sabo and Luffy in his heart, and finally knew why the two of them left without stopping. It turned out that there was danger behind them. Grandpa was chasing them. Luffy, who was in the know, rushed forward without telling them the reason. What's abominable is that Sabo, as the eldest brother, sneaked away without telling himself, and let himself stay where he is and wait for the bad luck to come. Sabo, Luffy, you wait for me. He kept abusing two people in his heart, he had no friendship, and he didn't regard himself as a brother. Thanks to myself for treating them as my good brothers, I didn't expect to turn the tide. Ace, are you scolding Grandpa? In a word, brought Ace back to reality. The terrifying great-grandpa was staring at him. The pressure is enormous. Ace, more and more afraid of Grandpa. The deterrence is too great, and I can't bear it. No, Grandpa, how dare grandson? Ace said quickly, Grandpa, you are so wise and mighty, grandson dare not scold you even if he scolds Grandpa. You are the best, the kindest, and the greatest grandfather in my heart. So, my great-great-grandfather wouldn't torture his great-grandson himself. Flatter, just open your mouth. Not for anything else, just to avoid being beaten. Oh? Chen Chen touched his face. Am I so good? I do not know how. My precious great-grandson Ace, are you sure you didn't fool your great-grandpa? Yes, it's better than what I said. Grandpa, your brilliance and prowess cannot be expressed in words. In my heart, you will always be the best, and no one can replace you. My grandson's admiration for you is like the unceasing flow of the surging river, and it is also like the flood of the Yellow River, which is out of control. Grandpa, sit down, are you thirsty? I'll fetch water for you. Pulling Chen Chen to sit down, Ace is going to fetch water for him. Wanting to leave, little one, Chen Chen pulled him. The two sat down together, didn't hear enough, and continued talking. Ace was dumbfounded. No way, Grandpa, you can't treat me like this. Go on, you were just fooling me, Ace. Ace wants to cry. My great-grandpa, why don't you play your cards according to the routine? Let's agree, I'll flatter you, let me go and find other people's troubles. But now, you regret it. Ace, your great-grandfather, I like to hear other people tell the truth, so don't talk nonsense. Be warned, don't talk nonsense, it's easy to go wrong. I mean, do you get it? To be honest, I don't like children who lie. Who is great-grandfather, you tell the truth. Ace's face pulled down like a bitter gourd. Great-grandfather, you will grow stronger and stronger when you grow old. Even if you are old, you will still be handsome. I believe you can charm thousands of girls when you go out. Many little sisters like yours, great-grandpa. Chen Chen patted Ace on the shoulder hard, and said with satisfaction, haha, Ace, what you said is awesome. Very good, very good. It seems that you are an honest child. Grandpa likes you more and more. What should I do? Great-grandpa is good, great-grandpa knows it all. Handsome person, still so good, how do you let other people live? People are old at heart, and the old man is in good health. Even if he marries another daughter-in-law, it will not be a problem. According to Chen Chen current body, he is so powerful that he can probably kill people. The power, endurance, and various abilities are all off the charts, okay? So Ace, do you know of any good places like that nearby? It seems to be an inquiry, but it is actually a test. Ace shuddered. No, Grandpa, you know, I'm not interested in those things. Really? Ace, I think you're very good at it. Chen Chen squinted his eyes. Can you take your great-grandpa to try it out? Your great-grandfather is so old, he hasn't been to that kind of place, nor tried. I haven't tried the taste of women for many years, since my daughter-in-law left. How many years? Garp has become a grandfather, so he has never tried it himself. Keeping one's body like jade for half a lifetime is worthy of one's own daughter-in-law. When others are old, their health is not good, but it is not the case for Chen Chen. Ahem. Ace coughed violently. Grandpa, grandson really doesn't know. If you want to go, you can ask Sabo, maybe Sabo will know. Dead friends don't die poor. Sabo, I'm sorry, I betrayed you. I hope you don't blame me when the time comes. Achoo. 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 After sneezing 3 times in a row, Sabo couldn't even walk unsteadily. He wiped his nose, frowned and said, who is scolding me? Was it you, Luffy? Luffy in front was blamed for no reason. He turned his head and said angrily, Sabo, you can't talk nonsense. When did I scold you? If you take the blame for no reason, no one will be happy if you do it. Luffy looked behind him, there was no figure of Ace, and immediately understood that Ace was suffering. He was caught by his grandfather. Tisk tisk, Sabo, you actually abandoned Ace. I can't tell, you are that kind of person. Even Sabo's face can't bear the ridicule of the silly boy Luffy. Flushed and short of breath, he opened his mouth several times without saying anything. Luffy reluctantly said, Ace is your good brother. I abandoned Ace without saying anything. Sabo, you are so cruel. Cruel-hearted guy, abandon brother, come as soon as you say it. In the future, did he even abandon himself? It's dangerous to stay away from this kind of big brother. With a dark face, Sabo caught up and gave Luffy an edge. Pulling Luffy's face with both hands, pulling hard, Luffy was pulled into a big cake. That's not what you said, Luffy. Where do you have the courage to ridicule me? Really, you also abandoned Ace. If you had said something at the time, even if you revealed a little bit of information, the unlucky person in the end would definitely not be Ace. It's not him Sabo either, it's Luffy. Of the three, Luffy is the best bully. The strength of the two introverts must be stronger than Luffy. Even after eating devil fruit, Luffy's strength is still at the bottom. Can't use it, poor physical skills, physical fitness is not as good as them. After all kinds of comparisons, Luffy must be the last one. And he actually used conspiracy and trickery, it's incredible. Luffy touched his head, no longer mocking Sabo, but looked behind him. Sabo, what do you think happened to Ace? Was he tortured by his grandfather? Sabo shook his head. I don't know, it's really not possible, you go back and have a look. Luffy shook his head immediately, absolutely not going back, he was scared, the great-grandfather tortured him, and he came madly. Grandpa is beating himself, and Grandpa is humiliating him. It's still hurting down there, my great-grandfather doesn't know what to do, he really doesn't know how to feel pity for himself. Does it hurt? Luffy couldn't help clamping his legs, he looked behind, but still didn't hear the scream. Ace doesn't seem to be tortured, nor humiliated by his great-grandpa. The curious two waited, hoping to see Ace catching up, but at the same time, they were unwilling to see it. Because Ace catches up, there must be someone who will fall behind. Who will suffer? Is it one of them? The consequences are too serious for any of them to bear. Luffy, why don't you go back and have a look? Luffy shook his head. No, Luffy, you run fast, and you have devil fruit ability, you are not afraid of being beaten. I won't go back. If you want to go back by yourself. With that said, Luffy wanted to move forward. You can't put yourself in danger. Once you fall behind, you must be the one who gets hurt. Each of them has a task to do, a daily necessary task, carrying stones forward and running in the forest. 1 lap, 2 laps, anyway, under the great-grandfather's pursuit, whoever runs slowly will be the one to be tortured. Walking the familiar road, the forest gradually became familiar to them. Go forward, until you reach the bottom of the mountain, then go the other side, go home, almost a circle. If you have enough time, you can continue to run. Grandpa didn't let you stop, so you can't stop. Squeeze the potential of their bodies. It is impossible to rest until the last moment without stimulating the potential of their bodies. Luffy and the others just charge forward, wherever they go. Eat anytime, anywhere. There is no fixed place, and there is no fixed food. By the way, the last person, apart from being tortured, has nothing to eat. This rule has gradually become popular among the people. The three of them should protect each other, and they can do whatever else they like, except eating. If you don't eat a meal, you will feel hungry. The two ran forward, Luffy didn't stop, Sabo couldn't stop. Once stopped, what he received was torture and humiliation. As a big brother, how could he lose face? Not far behind. Ace, his mouth is dehydrated, he still can't get away. The great-grandpa stared at him and kept telling him to tell the truth. Grandpa, who likes to listen to the truth, has a very simple mind. I sit and you tell me until you vomit yourself. The same thing keeps asking you to do it. Since you want to do it and I like to listen to it, why not do it? Ace, are you tired? Ace nodded. Yes. Since you're tired, then, Grandpa will give you a massage. Before the words fell, Ace immediately changed his words. No, I'm not tired, Grandpa, I'm not tired, not at all. I still have the strength to shake my fist, and I can kill 2 cows. Massage, just kidding, you're killing me. Grandpa, don't think I don't know what you want to do. Not tired, continue. I'm ready, you keep telling the truth, Ace. Ace couldn't laugh or cry, racked his brains, but couldn't think of new words. Great-grandpa was too tormenting. Grandpa, you are wise and mighty, can you let your grandson go to the toilet? Ace's face was ugly, his body turned blue, and he said with a hunched body. I'm very anxious, Grandpa, I can't take it anymore, I'm going to pull it out. As for what is being pulled, who knows? Chen Chen looked at Ace with a smile, those eyes seemed to see through everything. Once Ace is acting, it is impossible to stop, and he must act to the end. The bluish-purple face kept holding back, very real. Chen Chen pointed to the pit not far away and said, go, just pull there. Ace vomits blood. You asked me to pull it in front of you, what is your intention? Ace, am not the kind of person who urinates and defecates everywhere. I pay attention to hygiene and civilization, okay. Grandpa, can I pull over there? The location, I found it myself. Is an easy place to escape, Ace figured it out. Once you escape, find Luffy and Sabo, get someone down, and let them replace you. Otherwise, you will be in danger. I am afraid of being tortured. Although it is not a violent beating, this kind of psychological torture is the most deadly. No, my dear great-grandson Ace, it's dangerous over there, there are snakes infested, it's best not to go, just go to that pit, go. Remember to bury it after pulling it. Not allowed to go anywhere else, you either go over there or pull your pants. Ace, dumbfounded. His own plan failed. Grandpa saw through his mind, so he had no choice but to walk over and not deceive Grandpa. Otherwise, the consequences will be more serious. He took off his pants, peed, and turned his back on Grandpa. Pull it out a little bit. Ace has to perform a full set of acting, and can't give up halfway through the performance. It's not good for Grandpa to be suspicious. For the sake of his own wealth and life, he stayed longer and pretended that he pissed a lot. After pulling, he returned to his great-grandfather. Ace thought he was liberated. Ace, go ahead. Ace. He vomited blood and didn't want to continue. He wanted to give up, no words could describe it. He, with limited knowledge, cannot continue. Grandpa is too demanding, and I am afraid after all. Ace, is it difficult for you? Chen Chen asked with a smile. Grandpa's smile is full of tenderness, like the sunshine in spring, warm and genial. It can warm your heart, but Ace doesn't think so. The devil's smile looks like a smile on the surface, but in fact, the great-grandfather is threatening himself. He can show you an instant show of face, let you know what Grandpa's love is. He saw what happened to Luffy for a while, and was shocked. My experience was similar to that of Luffy, even physically and mentally exhausted. One as a physical encounter and the other as a spiritual encounter. Ace gradually couldn't bear it, he didn't want to continue to say good things. Grandpa can't be satisfied, he can let you keep telling the truth for an hour, how should I say it? No matter how well educated a person is, he can't satisfy Grandpa. No, gritting his teeth, Ace answered with difficulty. He didn't want to answer like this, there was no way, who made himself the weaker side. Did Grandpa ask too much? No, is great-grandpa too strict with you? No, isn't Grandpa doing this right? No. Ace answered right away, he couldn't make Grandpa unhappy. Although he felt that his great-grandfather had self-knowledge, he dared not speak out. You know it in your heart, so why ask? This is not to torture me clearly, Grandpa, you are too insidious. Helpless, continue to talk. After talking for a stick of incense, I couldn't continue. To be honest, I can't express it when it comes to my mouth. Repeat, keep repeating. I feel disgusting myself, some words, if I say too much, I feel very disgusting. Luffy, Sabo, come back and save me. I can't take it anymore, where are you? Can you save me once? He misses his brothers. He seemed to understand Luffy's feelings at the time, helpless, uncomfortable, and tortured to the point of madness. Grandpa's torture was not very harmful, but extremely insulting. No one can accept that their own souls are humiliated. He begged and prayed. Constantly wanting his brothers to come back to help him, he is about to fall. Perhaps, as he thought, the brothers are back. They are no longer running, Sabo and Luffy, standing in front. They probably wanted to come back and save him. Ace, reaching out, saw hope. His eyes glowed, he wanted to cry, and his pupils were moist. The brothers love themselves, and they are not willing to put themselves in danger. Sure enough, at critical times, we still have to rely on our brothers. Luffy. Sabo. Ace reached out and walked over, wanting to walk with the brothers. Luffy and Sabo in front gradually dissipated. He had hallucinations. He didn't come back to pick him up, because he missed them too much, which led to his hallucinations. Standing up, their figures dissipated. Ace's hope, gone. He stared hopelessly ahead, unable to believe what he saw. After a long time, he accepted the result. Oneself, after all, is a person. Walking in the forest, the two walked together. He was like a puppet. The mouth repeats the truth. Even if I am disgusted, I still want to say it. Great-grandpa likes to hear, he has to say. For his own sake, in order not to be humiliated, he said bravely. Move forward. Went to the foot of the mountain. He saw his brothers, two of them, waiting for him at the foot of the hill. Ace thought it was an illusion, so he opened his eyes and watched carefully. No, it's true. Two people, just resting in front. Rush over, Ace, rush over with excitement. Luffy. Sabo. Waiting. Luffy and Sabo opened their hands to welcome Ace's arrival. Throwing two people down, Ace pinned them down. Wanting to beat them up, abandoning himself, caused him to collapse. The two, looking at each other, did not see any harm on Ace. He didn't hear any screams, he didn't seem to be beaten. But why did he look very aggrieved? He was sad. Ace. What's wrong with you? Ace, don't scare me. Luffy and Sabo were frightened. Ace looked so miserable. His face was pale and his pupils had no light. The two supported Ace to stand up. Luffy waved his fist. Grandpa, what did you do to Ace? Why is Ace like this? What the hell have you done? The previous Luffy was not like this, he was full of confidence and sunshine. A smile always warms others up. But now, it's like two different people. In just a short period of time, people have changed. Chen Chen spread his hands. I'm wronged, I didn't do anything, you can see for yourself. He doesn't have any scars on his body. The old man didn't beat him, so don't talk nonsense. As soon as this remark came out, Luffy didn't know what to do. It seems that what great-grandpa said was true, Ace was not tortured. Unlike, I have many scars on my body. So, why is Ace like this? Ace, what happened? Tell me. Sabo asked anxiously, he wanted to know what happened. Something unknown must have happened. Did Grandpa do that to Ace? So scary. What kind of person is great-grandpa? Ace hesitated, speaking truthfully. After hearing what he said, Luffy and Sabo became restless. Nothing happened, Ace just broke down by himself. Luffy. This? Ace, can you bear it? Sabo. I went, it turned out that I was wrong. It doesn't seem to be a big deal, why is Ace half dead? Grandpa likes to listen to good things, so you just make it up, satisfy him, and don't beat you up, isn't it great? Hello. Hello. Hello everyone, it's a lot better than Luffy. Comparing the two, Sabo prefers the latter. Ace shook his head and said, you'll know it once you try it, Sabo, and you'll understand how broken I am. How much can you say if you say this for an entire hour? I can't repeat it. When it comes to disgusting myself, I still have to continue talking. Every time I say a word, I feel disgusted. When nausea becomes a habit, you will find it even more nauseating. The other two scoffed. Ahem, alright, that's all for the chat, let's start a new training now. Chen Chen applauded, telling them to stop and stop talking nonsense. From now on, put down the stones in your hands and carry this one on your back, one piece for each person, don't make a mistake. Yes, Sabo, yours is this one, Ace's is here, Luffy, this is yours. Go up, boy. When the three of them saw the stone, they were immediately unwilling. Luffy, as the thorn, was the first to raise objections. Grandpa, these 3 rocks are so big, how can the 3 of us climb up with our backs on our backs? Carrying is a problem, and I have to climb mountains. They said why they came to this mountain every time, and they were waiting for them here. Grandpa will not do things that are not beneficial, no, he began to show his foxtail. Sabo wondered. Grandpa, this is too difficult for the 3 of us. Ace said, Grandpa, aren't you being too ruthless? After trying it, the stone is very heavy, at least twice as heavy as their previous one, and it is very difficult to carry it. Climbing a mountain is no joke. Their strength and body cannot support them to climb up. Give them a day, and they may not be able to climb up. Grandpa was purely here to embarrass the 3 of them, and they immediately expressed their inner dissatisfaction. One person speaks a word and keeps talking. The reaction was great, and there were more resistance than before. It's worth it. Who is the master here, don't you have any ideas in mind? Chen Chen coughed and said seriously, are you 3 going to disobey my order? Or do you think the old man is embarrassing the 3 of you? If so, feel free to bring it up. Just bring it up, I won't change it. Suggestions are suggestions, and it is up to me to take them or not. The 3 people chirped to make comments, and the most was that they couldn't carry it up. Grandpa, it's too difficult. Grandpa, it's impossible.
Grandpa, we are still young. Wait a few years, maybe we can do it.
Grandpa, why don't we practice according to the previous project? The three of them wanted to be lazy and didn't want to be oppressed to practice. Chen Chen picked his nose and said, now you have two choices, one is to climb up by yourself, the other is. His smile suddenly burst out, holding Sabo's steel pipe with his hand. Very well, you three are very well. As for the old man, I won't do anything to you, whoever lags behind will be beaten. The other one is, the old man wants you to go up, you choose? The old man is a democratic person, and I will give you a choice. Don't say that the old man is authoritarian and dictatorial. What about the old man? He is really democratic. When the three of them heard this, they were all speechless. Is this a choice? You are definitely not the only choice, you only give us one choice, let us choose. The three of them looked at each other. What should we do? Luffy resisted tenaciously. Grandpa, you can't treat the three of us like this. Chen Chen pointed behind Luffy. Your big brothers have already left, are you sure you want to resist? If one person resists me, the consequences will be very serious. Luffy looked back, suddenly angry. Hey, Ace, Sabo, why are you running so fast? The two, carrying rocks, climbed up the mountain step by step. The previous dissatisfaction is just talking. In the face of threats, they chose to compromise. Ace is afraid of being tortured and doesn't want to experience this kind of life again. Sabo was frightened by the experience of the two. As the eldest brother, he still needs to know the current affairs as a hero. Grandpa is strong, he bows his head and respects the strong. Luffy, what did you want to say just now? Grandpa has bad ears, so he can't hear very clearly. Luffy. He made an ugly smile and blinked. No, I didn't say anything, Grandpa, I'm going to carry the stone now, don't hit me. Luffy, who is highly conscious, chose to compromise. Resistance does not exist. The big brothers bowed their heads, they chose to be cowards. How can I fight against my great-grandfather by myself? For his own life, he chose to bow his head. Bending and stretching as a real man. The three of them started their new way of exercising. Walking is very slow, the speed of climbing mountains is too slow. Chen Chen didn't urge them, but quietly followed behind, in case they had a landslide and the stone slipped down and hurt others. In the early stage, you need to watch carefully, but in the later stage, you may not need to watch. While walking, put pressure on them. The three of them wanted to lay down and rest, several times. Looking back, great-grandpa was following behind, and the three of them were trembling with fright. Biting his lip, he carried himself forward. Lazy or something, I dare not. Luffy is the last one, his stone is a little lighter than the big brothers, and the pressure is a little less. But his body is smaller than the two big brothers, and he is also younger. Correspondingly, he is also the most difficult. With the same difficulty, the younger you are, the more you suffer. Strength, stamina, and this kind of thing are all at a disadvantage. Luffy, back then, your father and grandfather also trained here. Aren't you very curious? How did Grandpa train so powerfully? It's right under your feet. If you look down, you should be able to see the traces of their training back then. Chen Chen spoke lightly, and then talked about Garp and their experiences back then. Recalling the three little ones back then, they are all old now. Everyone in high positions is not simple. To be able to have the strength of today, the training of that year is indispensable. Luffy asked excitedly. Grandpa also practiced here? That's right. Your grandfather was a little older than you back then, just like you, carrying rocks for exercise, but your grandfather performed better than you. For the first time, he carried it up, and in the next few days, he quickly adapted. For you, it's not bad if you can go up today, but I guess it's impossible. If you can go halfway, you will be successful. With the speed and state of the three of them, it is unlikely that they will go up. The mountain is too high. For them, it is an impossible challenge to succeed. Ace asked. Was Grandpa also very good back then? Huh. Chen Chen rubbed his chin, thought for a long time and said, no, he did one lap on the first day, and climbed twice a day after a week, increasing every so often. Afterwards, climbing a mountain meant nothing to him. Mountain climbing is the first stage of training. The three of you have only entered the first stage now. You are too good. Practice is divided into several stages, and you have just entered the first stage. Back then, your grandpas entered this stage from the very beginning and got used to it very quickly. And you, now there is a lot of nonsense, dissatisfied with this, dissatisfied with that. Young people in the new era are like you, How can you grow up? What? Mountain climbing is the first stage. Ace was shocked. Sabo asked. Grandfather, does that mean our previous cultivation is not considered cultivation? Chen Chen nodded and said, that's right, at first, my great-grandfather didn't want to hit you. Seeing the dissatisfied looks of the three of you, my great-grandfather can only talk about it. You three are the worst class one have ever led. None of them. This sentence is not false. Indeed. The three bowed their heads, very puzzled. Luffy asked loudly. Grandpa, how many times have you led? Could it be just Grandpa's class? If yes, we admit that we are the worst class. The three of them had different thoughts, and they were all waiting for Grandpa's answer. But Great-Grandpa's reaction was beyond their expectations. They only saw Great-Grandpa squatting down and counting how many classes he had taken. Allow me to think about it. How many times have I led? Oops, I'm old. I can't remember clearly, a dozen or more. How many times? Forget it, I don't know the number. Old and can't remember things. The three of them were dumbfounded. 10 years. Not once. There are so many sessions, they are the worst one, not one of them. The bottom of the ranking, the three of them suddenly felt humiliated. Ace said dissatisfied. Haha, Grandpa, you like to joke too much. Sabo laughed. This joke is not funny at all. Luffy. Ahem, Grandpa, you can really blow. The three of them don't believe it, it's just you, Grandpa, who are 10 years old. Impossible things are good, if you put your mind to it, it is possible to lead one session a year. But are there really so many talented people who love to study and practice? Impossible. The three of them are already talents, and the others cannot be half as good as them. Three people with honey juice and self-confidence. Chen Chen attacked. Hey, Grandpa really doesn't want to hit you guys. Let's put it this way, the old man has brought 3 girls in one class. The three of you can't even compare with the other 3 girls. Simple and straightforward, right? The three of you are so weak that you can't even compare with other girls, but you still compare strength. You said that the three of you are the worst class. No? Grandpa, you are not bragging, are you? Grandpa, are we really that bad? The three of them didn't realize the problem, they were always the worst class. No matter how the performance is, it is the worst, not one of them. As a teacher, this is what I like to do the most. Compared with the best, you are the worst. In every respect, you are compared to the best of the best, and in the end, you are nothing. The performance of the 3 Empress sisters is remarkable, indeed better than Luffy and the others. In the early stage, in the middle and late stages, according to the performance of the 3 of Luffy, they may catch up. Who knows how long it will take. The problem is that everyone is making progress, and the future of the Empresses and the 3 may change. Everyone's future is in their own hands and will change. It's true. Grandpa doesn't like to lie, and he doesn't like to lie to you either. The 3 of you really can't even compare with other girls, let alone your grandpa. Not in a class. Totally incomparable. The enthusiasm of the 3 people was okay at the beginning, but after that, it was so-so. Cultivation depends entirely on self-awareness. You rely on introversion, but there are things where talent and self-discipline coexist. Self-discipline can make continuous progress. Talent is the basis for providing the upper limit. Whether the upper limit is high or not depends on your talent. The 3 of them are all talented, at least they won't be bad in the future. The premise is not to die halfway, once dead, everything is empty. I don't want to say that the 3 of you just started exercising and you have to rest. Your grandfather rushed up in one breath back then and didn't rest. By the way, your father was stronger back then. Luffy, you don't need Grandpa to watch, he cultivates by himself every day. Now, your father is doing well. Luffy blinked. My father? I have a father? Chen Chen. Ace. Sabo. My god, everyone has a father, you have one, and so do we. You are human, how could you not have a father? Did you pop out of a rock? Chen Chen gave Luffy an edge and beat the silly boy well. What nonsense, you must have a father, everyone has a father, it's just a question of whether they are there or not. Your father is still alive, as for where he went, who knows? I'll see your father someday, Luffy. Father, what a distant thing. Sabo and Ace are orphans, the 2 have no father. Growing up here since childhood, the 3 of them helped each other. In the beginning, Ace and Sabo met each other, and now they practice together. They are not biological brothers, but better than biological brothers. Luffy pouted. I don't want it. Ace. I'm so envious. Sabo. If I had such a son, I would beat him to death long ago. Don't talk about other things. If you pull out a random person, the three of you can't compare. Luffy, Ace, Sabo, you three should practice hard, the future is yours. The new era has begun, and you are under a lot of pressure. Everyone has to bear their own pressure. Especially you, Ace, work hard and don't dishonor the glory of your father's generation. That's it. Did not go on. Ace's identity, Chen Chen didn't intend to tell him now. Just let him know that his father is strong and has a strong honor. Ace heard about his father again from the old man. Grandpa. What kind of person is my father? In Ace's memory, father, there is no impression. Father and mother are blank. No one told him about his father's impression, no. Grandpa seems to know his father, Ace asked excitedly. Grandpa, please tell me. Chen Chen shook his head. You will know in the future. I can only tell you that your father did not want you. 3 people, Sabo's father, he knows where to go. Compared with Ace, at least a little happier. Grandpa. Ace wanted to continue asking, but Chen Chen refused. Some things, knowing too early would be bad for him. In a few years, great-grandfather will definitely tell you. Chen Chen said softly, at that time, you can check your father's information a little bit. By the way, don't say your name nonsense. Yeah. Ace nodded. From the beginning, they kept saying their names were Pottercast D. Ace, not Gold Ace. Use the mother's surname, not the father's. Once the father's surname is used, he will be recognized, which is very dangerous. This point should be instilled in him since he was a child. Maybe he doesn't know it now. After he knows his father, he will understand what he said today. Very well, Ace, you must remember, don't forget. Again and again, for Ace's safety, Chen Chen has to speak. Ace nodded. Let's start climbing the mountain. Today's goal is to rush up. The top of the mountain is right in front of you, go ahead. Don't be the last one, and don't aim too high, just move forward steadily. By the way, the last one, old rules, no food. Today, our meal will be settled on the top. If you can't come during the mealtime, I'm sorry, the 3 of us have nothing to eat. In an instant, the 3 of them set off immediately. It's lunchtime. The 3 of them continued to climb, all 3 hungry, necks stretched out, no sign of lunch. Unable to climb up, I am too tired, and all the energy provided by breakfast has been exhausted. Luffy is the hungriest one, and his energy is drained the most. I can't see the figure of my great-grandfather. After educating them, my great-grandfather will occasionally disappear for a while. The 3 guessed that they might be cooking, but after waiting for a long time, it was already past the mealtime, and they didn't wait for the grandfather to come back. Ace. I'm so hungry. Luffy, lagging behind the others, is starving. I don't want to climb anymore, I don't eat enough, and I don't have the strength to practice. Luffy, stop shouting, I'm hungry too. Ace was already very hungry, but Luffy was still shouting, and he was even more hungry. Sabo is the same, with his chest pressed against his back, all supported by a force of will. He buried his head in climbing, and suddenly, he smelled the fragrance. It's the smell of the food. Looking up, I saw my great-grandfather in front, holding the food in his hand. It tastes delicious when eaten alone, and the mouthful of meat is very fragrant. Gulu. The stomachs of the 3 of them made noises in spite of themselves. Hungry, they saw the moment of Grandpa, as if they saw a barbecue. His eyes were on Grandpa's hand, he was eating, and he didn't have a share for the 3 of them. Luffy roared and charged. The temptation of food is quite high. The 3 of them arrived at the place where Chen Chen was in the blink of an eye. Throwing down the stone, stuck in position, staring at the food in Chen Chen hand. The 3 surrounded Chen Chen with eyes full of longing. Suck it up. It tastes good. Take a bite of meat, and then a bite of rice. Very fragrant and delicious. The way of chewing made 3 people die of hunger. Disappointed, they rubbed their hands and smiled. Want to eat a bite, but Chen Chen won't give it to them. Just seduce the 3 of them, you can only watch, not eat. The eating broadcast started, and Luffy, Ace and Sabo watched me eat together. This kind of opportunity is very rare. Want to eat? The 3 nodded, wanting to eat very much. The body is the most honest, it will give a natural response to what it wants to do and what to eat. It's not out of their control. I'm hungry and I want to eat. If you don't eat a meal, you will feel hungry. The 3 of them still need to exercise and become even hungrier. Unfortunately, you don't have to eat. Well, it's very fragrant and delicious. This piece of meat tastes just right, and the heat is well controlled. The old man's craftsmanship has not fallen, haha. Eat with big mouthfuls and make noises in your mouth. The sound of tisk tisk seduced the three of them. Too bad, Chen Chen. Luffy leaned closer, cheek almost into the bowl. Drooling, fell to the ground. Without dignity, he stared at his grandfather, longing for a bite to eat. Grandpa, can you give me a bite to eat? Dignity, integrity, and face are all unnecessary. It's important to eat, everything else, get out of here. Among the three, Luffy didn't care about face the least. As long as there was food, the others didn't have to. Ace also wants to eat, he can't say this sentence. So embarrassing. It's just a meal, and there's nothing wrong with not eating it. Gulu. Stomach rumbled in disbelief. His face was flushed, and he lost the chain at a critical moment. Hold on, stomach, you have to live up to it. Ace, do you want to eat? Take a bite of rice and lift it up. Ace was hungry, he wanted to eat, his eyes gave him away. Unexpectedly, a shadow flew over from the side. Luffy ate it in one bite. Well, it smells so good. If you don't eat it, then I will eat it. A mouthful of rice, although not very useful, at least can satisfy the stomach. Luffy chewed slowly, savored it carefully, and smiled contentedly. Good to eat. Come here, can I have another bite? He looks like a pug. The other two looked disgusted, they didn't know this person. Chen Chen stroked Luffy's head, satisfied with Luffy's attitude. Luffy, want more meat? Luffy's eyes widened. Can you, Grandpa? Sure enough, I am my own. Woohoo, tears in my eyes. Grandpa finally remembered that I am your own great-grandson. Okay, but the turning point has come. Luffy hurriedly asked. But what? Chen Chen raised his finger. However, you have to beat them both up. Not good. Grandpa. Luffy looked embarrassed. They are my big brother, how could you do this to them? No, I can't do it. Meat, as long as you are full. Rice, as long as you are full. Just a few words explained Chen Qingtian's attitude. Luffy's eyes lit up when he heard the words, and it seemed that things could be done. They are my brothers and cannot fight unless you add money. Ace, Sabo, let's cooperate, okay. In order for me to eat, you two feel wronged, okay? Ace. Sabo. You were really my good brother. You betrayed us and even beat us up for a meal. Did we treat you too well, or did you think you could beat both of us? Sabo said disdainfully. Luffy, I advise you not to make fun of yourself. Ace scolded. Bringing you over for a meal, Luffy, isn't it too cheap for you? The two of them don't want to be brothers with him, it's too embarrassing. Luffy pouted. It's as if you are not the same, if you have the ability, you don't eat. Anti-sarcasm. Ace and Sabo bowed their heads, and they seemed to be moved too. Chen Qingtian strikes while the iron is hot. You three can do it, as long as the one who beats the other will be given food immediately to keep him full. Among other things, Chen Qingtian's eyes are very good. Seeing the smoke of gunpowder, the battle is about to begin, add a fire. Ace and Sabo looked at each other, rubbed their hands together, and moved forward. The two looked at Luffy together. Since you were unkind, don't blame the big brothers for being unrighteous. Luffy stepped back. What do you two want? I'm your younger brother. Is it appropriate for you two to hit me? Ace smiled and said, it's appropriate. Why isn't it appropriate? Isn't it right for a big brother to care about his younger brother? Sabo echoed. At first I didn't want to do anything to you, Luffy. Who made you want to beat us up? There is no way, big brother was forced. If you don't beat you, you will want to beat us. Then, I can only sacrifice you. Brother Luffy, sacrifice the small self to complete the big self. Do not. Pain. Don't hit there, what do you want to do? Ah, who hit there, bastard, do you want me to die? Asshole. Don't fight anymore, I'm going to fight back. The screams are not as tough as a certain person's mouth, and they still have to be tough after being beaten. Worthy of being the king of strong mouth. After the violent beating, Luffy, with a baggy head, was severely beaten. He, lying on the ground, stared at the world in despair. The big brothers are so unfeeling, they actually beat themselves up. Grandpa, can we eat? The two went over to accept the award, and that posture was very similar to Luffy's posture just now. Go. Good job, young man. It is a good thing to know that people are warm and cold, and the world is hot and cold at a young age. It is better to be educated by one's own people than to be educated by outsiders. At home, no matter how you educate yourself, your family will not hurt you. People outside, who knows? If you miss it, you may die. Sometimes, death is far away from you, you have never imagined it, and when it comes suddenly, you will be at a loss. No one knows when death will come to him, and the future cannot be predicted. The two little guys went to cook. For this meal, they paid too much, so they must eat more, and eat the meal of Luffy's brother by the way, so as not to waste it. The world is sinister. Brothers can't be trusted, they teach themselves a lesson backhanded. Luffy lay on the ground, moaning in pain. He finally understood that even the big brothers were not worthy of trust. When the interests are sufficient, they will not hesitate to do it to themselves. I am too naive. The clown, after all, is myself. It turned out that I thought too much. I regarded them as brothers, but they never regarded me as brothers. Ace, Sabo, they are not good people. Woo, for a meal, they even teamed up to beat me. One meal, no brotherhood. The two of them have been bullying themselves, it's too inhuman. Obviously they are the weakest, they should help themselves, not bully themselves. Other people's big brother is always the best, so forget it. Luffy, are you okay? Reach out to pull him up. Luffy, don't get up. He lay on the ground, the dirt, let him remember everything about today. You can't be too naive. Don't trust them, nobody can. You are the most reliable. Luffy, you have to persevere. You can't lose yourself because of one loss. The future is still very long. You have to work hard. A strong person is not afraid of conspiracy and tricks. Strength is the foundation. You have to improve yourself. When your strength surpasses them, they will not be able to trap you. At that time, you can do whatever you want. Why bother to blame yourself in the world for a small mistake? The world is not wrong. You are wrong. Always trust everyone in the world. Who is good and who is bad, no one can tell. Knowing the face but not the heart, you have to observe and feel. Get up. Lying on the ground is not a thing. Luffy turned around and stared at Great-Grandpa. Grandpa, can I eat? Ah. What are you talking about? Louder, Grandpa can't hear you. Luffy. Come on. When the critical moment came, my great-grandfather began to pretend to be deaf. It's unreasonable, he clearly heard it, but he was acting. Hateful. Ace and Sabo eat very well, they come to Luffy and seduce Luffy. Ace teased and asked, Luffy, do you want to eat? The strong fragrance kept wafting to Luffy's nose. Luffy, get up. Squatting in front of the two, his eyes were full of longing. He is very hungry and wants to eat meat. Ace, give it to me quickly. Luffy, who can't wait to eat barbecue immediately. It's so fragrant, I can't bear it. Ace teased, but my great-grandfather said that I can't give it to you. It's not that I don't give you food, it's that my great-grandfather doesn't. Luffy, big brother, I love you. The black-hearted Ace, in front of Luffy, ate the meat with big mouthfuls. Luffy, who was already hungry, couldn't help it now. He wanted to snatch it, but he couldn't. Ace walked away with his job. Luffy was too slow to be a threat to him. Sabo also came to seduce her, and the two of them seduced her together. It was so disgusting. Luffy, being played, toyed with. He bounced around like a monkey. If they can't eat food, they have to play with them. Luffy, angry. Ace, Sabo, if you don't feed me again, I'll be angry. Holding hands, pouting. Little Luffy, when angry, is so cute. Ace took a bite of his rice and said, Luffy, ask your great-grandfather. If your great-grandfather gives you food, I'll give you this bowl of rice. Big brother, am I good to you? Luffy eagerly asked Chen Chen. Grandpa, can I eat? Okay, I see. Chen Chen. I didn't say anything, and you agreed for me? Luffy didn't care about anything, and said directly, Ace, you heard it. Grandpa said to give me food, you can't count your words. Ace. Sabo. In terms of ability to fool, you are still the strongest. Brother Luffy, do you think Grandpa is a fool?
For food, Luffy, no shame. He rushed forward, snatched the bowls and chopsticks, and prepared to stutter.
Suddenly, I found that the bowl was empty. Nothing at all. Meals, meat, all gone. Ace finished eating, leaving nothing behind. Ace, are you playing with me? No, Luffy, I wanted to tell you, I'm done eating, I'm sorry. Ace touched his head and apologized. Luffy, you go to Sabo, he still has food in his bowl. Sorry, my dear brother Luffy, big brother can't help you. You go to your big brother, he will definitely help you. Sabo, can you give me a bite? Please. Luffy begged, throwing everything away for a bite. Hunger made him unable to preserve his sanity. Everything he looked at was like barbecue. No, he's going to starve. Sabo smiled and said, okay, but you have to call me Dad. Luffy. Dad. Sabo. Do I dare to promise? Ace. Damn it, ruthless, Sabo, you've caused a disaster. Grandpa's here. If you want to be Luffy's father, then you want to be Grandpa's grandson. You offended the grandfather's family, and your future life will be miserable. Sabo turned his head stiffly, glanced at the old man. He was relieved that the old man was not angry. Scared him to death, Luffy, barking so fast. How can I say such things when I talk too much? The one just now doesn't count. I want you to perform a bird walk under the tree for us. Luffy was dumbfounded. What is walking a bird under a tree? He really didn't know. He hadn't heard of this since he was a child. Ace's forehead. Sabo, I really have you. You dare to make such a request. Awesome. Great-grandfather is still nearby. How could you? Hey, why is great-grandpa so excited? No way. Great-grandpa wants to see it too. Looking at it this way, it's incredible that the people here are all wonderful. It seems that normal people only have themselves. Ace is far away from them, and he is out of place with them. Ahem. Luffy, walking a bird under a tree, that's it. Chen Chen explained to Luffy a little bit what it means to walk a bird. Things that ordinary people can't do, only men can do. Another version of the famous scene of not shaking billion, walking a bird under the moon, walking a bird under a tree. Accidents always come suddenly. Something unexpected happened to everyone. Luffy was bitten. His bird, a huge bird, hung an unknown beast at this moment. The sharp teeth bite the little bird, and they don't let go, as if they want to eat the bird. Luffy wailed and fell from the tree, protecting the bird. With his hand, he pulled the beast hard. The sharp beast, like a cat, was biting and would not let go. The harder it is, the harder it bites. Both, deadlocked. Luffy, don't dare to touch, beast, don't let go. One is to relieve the pain, thereby to loose the beast. For food, the beast does not let go, as if it has not eaten for many years, it grabs the last food, and either dies or has something to eat. Help me, Ace. Help, Sabo. Woo, Grandpa, let it go, I'm going to die. Ace reached out to help you, he pulled the beast. Luffy screamed even more miserable. He said something casually, but unexpectedly, it came true. Luffy, suffer. Those who are arrogant will be punished. Luffy's retribution is now the beast, which gives Luffy pain. Unable to avoid the pain, Luffy grinned. He wanted to break free, but reality wouldn't allow him to break free. Tears kept flowing from his eyes. Luffy wanted to die, his little bird was in pain. The beast bit hard, as if it was about to roll over to death. Grandpa, save me. Ace is unreliable, he's making fun of himself. And Sabo, too, came here to help the beast, not to help himself. Luffy even suspected that the beast was summoned by Ace to embarrass himself on purpose. They feel inferior and don't let themselves feel better. Woohoo, it's so hard for me. Luffy, don't worry, come on, follow me and take a deep breath. Ace first calmed down Luffy's mood. At this time, being anxious will only bring about the opposite effect. Yes, calm down, take a deep breath, and let it out. That's it, you see, your body is shrinking. Seeing to break free, Luffy thought he was going to escape disaster. Beasts don't let go of the places they bite, and they don't let go when they become bigger or smaller. No matter how you change, I just keep biting. Do not let go. The body of rubber fruit is not afraid of hitting, but afraid of biting and cutting. The bite of the wild beast happened to be something Luffy couldn't avoid. It hurts, it hurts. Luffy looked down. The beast was still there, it was staring at its own bird. There is a price to be paid for walking birds under trees. Himself became a joke. Ace, you lied to me. Shrunken, more painful. Luffy, want to cry. Ace big brother is not helping himself at all, he is hurting himself. Sabo comforted. It's okay, Luffy, it will be fine soon. Hold on, it's almost there, we'll help you. The two of them messed around for a long time, not only failed to get rid of the beast, but made Luffy more painful. They never get tired of it, and they seem to like this kind of thing. The more miserable you are, the happier they are. Good brother Luffy, you howl slowly. Chen Chen, who was watching the play, couldn't help but smile. Life is always full of fun. In an ordinary practice life, adding a funny person can make life full of happiness. Luffy, yours doesn't seem very big either. After shrinking, he becomes smaller. The beast seems to be biting off. Stuck in the position, the beast did not dare to let go, it knew what its fate was. Ace and Sabo's help is still going on, they study and watch. Hearing what my great-grandfather said, I couldn't help but watch Luffy's good brother seriously. After a closer look, it is indeed not very big as the grandfather said. Smaller than theirs, and that's what it looks like when it's not inflated. Ace tried to reach out to eject the bullet, but was stopped by Luffy. Luffy stared at Ace viciously. What are you doing? Ace. Almost growling the words, Luffy can't stand the pain. He didn't believe that the two big brothers came to help him, they were purely for jokes. You two go away, I don't need your help. It's too miserable, my life is so miserable. Why do you do this to me? Luffy bit the bullet and begged Grandpa. Grandpa, help me, hurry up, I can't take it anymore. Grandpa, you don't want our family to cut off the incense, do you? Chen Chen caught the weakness, Luffy, from the offspring. If you don't help me, there will be no offspring. At that time, after you go down, Great-Grandpa, will you still have the face to meet the ancestors of the monkey family? Luffy, ahem. Grandpa will help you. Get out of the way, you two, and don't get in the way. Pushing away the two, Chen Chen glanced down. The beast shivered all over, and fear filled its heart. Behind it, a prehistoric beast stared at it. When danger comes, the beast makes another choice between life and food. Run away. Must escape. Not able to stay. Leave. Release. The beast wants to go with a whimper. Luffy, how can you let it go? After biting himself for so long, there was no way he could have let the beast escape. Must eat it. Don't run. Luffy, who was still howling 1 second, charged forward and went after the beast in the next second. It was hilarious to watch Luffy jump up and down. The three held hands, quietly watching Luffy catch the beast. He was too slow to get close to the beast, and just like that, the beast went away. Luffy stood there angrily, sulking all by himself. He angrily said to Ace and Sabo, "Why don't you two help me?" Ace pouted. "You said it yourself, you don't need my help." Sabo nodded. "Yes, why should we help you? Kindness will not be rewarded, and you will be disgusted by you. It's better not to help, let's go to the theater." "What do you do?" Luffy. The two big brothers made it clear that they wanted to watch a show, they were so hateful. "Grandpa, look at the two of them, it's disgusting." Luffy seeks the help of his great-grandfather to punish the two big brothers, they are too bullying. Chen Chen said slowly, "You don't have to eat quickly, we are going to start training." After being reminded by his grandfather, Luffy immediately remembered something serious. "Eat, yes, I haven't eaten yet, so hurry up and eat." "What about rice bowls?" "Look for Sabo." Sabo hands it over. It's empty. Nothing. At this moment, Luffy is broken. He looked at the clean rice bowl, but there was nothing in it, not even a single grain of rice. Sabo touched his face in embarrassment. "Aha, you know, Grandpa said that you can't waste it, so. I finished eating, not a grain of rice left." Luffy. He waved his fist, no matter what, he was going to kill two big brothers. "Ace, Sabo, I will fight with you." Crazy Luffy, no food to eat, he's desperate. Ace and Sabo ran away quickly and could not be caught by Luffy. Three people, running towards the sun life is like this, plain but colorful.